Texas is now facing 3 federal lawsuits over its anti-weaponization fund, a $1.8 billion pot of money aimed at paying out people who claim to have been victimized by the government. This afternoon, the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington asked a federal judge to halt the creation of the fund, calling it a taxpayer-funded giveaway to the president's allies. ABC's Selena Wang says Republicans are pushing back as well.
We have seen time and time again that Republicans have been refusing to defy the president even when they're uncomfortable with something he wants. But so many of them see this, quote, anti-weaponization fund as simply just a bridge too far. They see it as politically toxic, something that could undermine their majority come November.
And Tulsi Gabbard has announced she's stepping down as the director of national intelligence, saying she wants to be there for her husband, who was just diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer. This is ABC News. Much of the eastern half of the country is bracing for some severe rain over the next few days, with alerts going up in Kentucky, Ohio, and Oklahoma. Unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs, are the subject of a new release of documents and videos from the Pentagon today. ABC's Jay O'Brien says UAP is the government's term for things that it can't explain.
After multiple investigations, the government has found no evidence any of these incidents are of an extraterrestrial nature, but military officials admit many remain unresolved and cannot be explained. That new tranche of files is now live on the government website, war.gov/UFO. The Pentagon says that in the month that it's been live, it's received upwards of 1 billion hits, that whole website.
Kami Rita, the man who holds the record for climbing Mount Everest the most times, is now urging the government of Nepal to limit the amount of permits it gives out to people making that climb, saying the crowds at the summit are big enough to be dangerous. I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Coming up, a cold case arrest in Renton. That's after Nate Connors at the traffic desk.
All right, this one brought to us by Seattle Sports, and our holiday commuters are starting to get packed out there. Let's start with the water. The Mukilteo Terminal has a 2-hour wait for drivers. You got a 1-hour wait for drivers at the Edmonds Terminal. Tacoma to Olympia, an hour and a half, about a 40-minute delay. You're bumper to bumper from 512 down to the JBLM main gate, about a 7-mile back up there, and then you're slow from Lacey into Olympia. Heading out toward Gig Harbor, westbound 16, you're packed from the east end of the Narrows up past Olympic Drive. Both directions of State Route 18 jam-packed between the Valley Freeway and I-5. North 405, bumper to bumper from I-5 and South Center through the Renton S-curves. 35 minutes from South Center into Bellevue. South 405, bumper to bumper from 520 through Cold Creek Parkway. Eastbound 2 has an 11-mile solid backup starting east of downtown Monroe into Sultan and Everett to Marysville. We're up to a half-hour drive. It is bumper to bumper from State Route 526 all the way to 528. Search Seattle Sports on YouTube and click subscribe to get fresh video content daily. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granello. Renton police have arrested a murder suspect after 6 years on the run. Investigators say 26-year-old O'Shea Williams was tracked down last night. Renton PD's Megan Black says officers arrested Williams after a short chase on foot.
Over the years, detectives never really let these things go. Over the course of several weeks, he was able to develop some information that Williams was still in the area.
He was wanted in the shooting death of a 21-year-old back in 2020. He's now charged with first-degree murder. Auburn police are searching for a suspect who shot a teenager on a bus. KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey has more.
Investigators tell KIRO 7 TV the suspect shot the 17-year-old victim on board a Metro bus riding through 29th Street Southeast and M Street Southeast in Auburn Thursday night.
As of right now, I'm going to say he was just shot at least one time, and he was communicating with us on scene prior to being taken to the hospital.
The victim was rushed to Harborview Medical Center in stable condition, according to police. A canine tracked the area. No arrests yet. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
A clouded leopard that got loose at Point Defiance Zoo in Tacoma is now back in its habitat. Zoo officials say Orchid climbed a tree behind the Wild Wonders Theater at around 11:30 this morning. She was brought back to her habitat about 3 hours later. Nobody got hurt. A rookie cop in Tacoma has now made 5 captures in 6 weeks. Here's KIRO Radio's Frank Lindsay with that story.
Yes! Meet Tacoma Police Canine Charlie.
Attaboy, buddy!
During his first few weeks on the job, he's found weapons that suspects have tried to ditch. He spent more than an hour looking for an assault suspect, who he did help find, by the way, and then there was this caller.
It stops right here.
That would be the suspect's trail. Right here would refer to an outdoor refrigerator where the guy was hiding.
Get out. You're going to get bit. You understand me?
When he's not chasing bad guys, Charlie can be found chasing birds, squirrels, and bunnies. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
And now to your weather update. Looking like a nice Friday afternoon out there. Mid-70s across the map. We'll see more 70s tomorrow, then low 70s Sunday, and then Memorial Day. The rain returns. It'll be in the upper 50s and low 60s. Right now, 75 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO Newsradio App. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio, Northwest News.
Welcome to the John Curley Show. It's not John Curley today. Tim Gatos in for John on this beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. This Friday of the Memorial Day weekend. Man, I tell you, if you're sitting in traffic heading out to Eastern Washington or Idaho, we're so glad that you're tuning in. We've got a great show for you today. You think, this is the Friday Memorial Day weekend, not a lot going on. Hey, I tell you, we got a lot to cover today. Later on in the show, we're going to have Alex Berenson, who was very prominent during the COVID years. He just won a huge lawsuit against the federal government. We're going to talk to Alex live. We're also going to dive into so many issues here in the Pacific Northwest. We got Mike Cyber on the ones and twos. What's up, Mike?
Doing great.
Yeah, you hanging in?
Absolutely. I was telling you earlier when we were in the bullpen that we've got about 6 hours worth of show in a 4-hour bag.
Oh my goodness. We are going to dive into so much stuff.
Jam-packed.
And we'd love to hear from you. Text us at the Muckleshoot Casino and Resort text line. We would love to interact with you today. 888-973-5476. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, I tell you, Mike, I have born and raised here in Washington. Edmonds, lived my whole adult life in Seattle. I feel like one of the conversations that people are always having right now, and I feel like every kind of week there's a new story around who's planning on leaving. We see this all the time now, like, 75% of Washingtonians are considering leaving because of affordability issues. We see that around businesses and the percentage of businesses that are considering leaving. And I tell you that as someone who is, born and raised here and loves living here and has been unbelievably discouraged, I would say, over the last number of years around issues of affordability, someone who I've got 4 daughters that we're raising here in Seattle. We actually live in Seattle, the city limits. Which, you feel like when we talk a lot about Seattle and Seattle taxes and things like that. And I tell you, when you look at the tax list, it's like, man, we are this is next level right now when we look at how much we are paying in nowadays property taxes and those things. And here's what I want to get your thoughts on, and I'd love to have some interaction from those of you that are out there listening. 888-973-5476. It's one of those things, this issue of affordability, because one, can the government fix this? Is this something that the government should fix? Is it something that we want them to fix? We know that when we dive into issues of fraud, waste, abuse, here in King County, they only looked into 2% of some of the grants that were given to DHS and found issues in over 50% of those grants. We know that there's a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse when it comes to those issues that we're giving out grants here in our region. And the question that we've got to ask ourselves is, what is this going to make? What is this going to be to be sustainable for our family? My kids, they love it here. They love living here. But I tell you, how are we going to continue to stay here is the question. I mean, it is a very tough and difficult thing to be able to continue to afford to live here. And I know a lot of you who are listening, you feel that. I'm a born and raised, middle. I'm like right in the middle class. I'm right in the middle class type of person. I grew up in Edmonds, and those of you who know Edmonds are like, oh man, Edmonds, that's a little hoity-toity. But I was not an Edmonds Bowl person. I was a closer to Highway 99 Edmonds person. Okay, so we'll just get that. It's a little bit of my background.
See, I grew up in Linwood, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Okay.
99, 196, that whole corridor there. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
So I'm not an Edmonds Bowl. I'm a closer to Highway 99 Edmonds person, and
by the safe way.
Exactly. Did you go to Linwood High School?
I did.
You did? Okay.
Which, incidentally, is no longer there. I don't know if you know this or not, but Linwood High School is actually in Bothell now. It's on Marvin Road near Martha Lake.
Yeah.
Of all places. It's a Costco now. I can't go back to my old high school because now it's a Costco.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I went to Edmonds Woodway, so we were rival. We're just finding this out. What year did you graduate?
97.
Okay, so I'm 92, a couple years older. But anyways, good stuff. So I've been known, my friends, they would actually get tired of me when I went off to college in another state, and they would get so tired of me talking about Seattle and Washington and how amazing it is, and they'd just be like, man, can you just stop talking about that? And I've been known as kind of this evangelist of this region because it's so incredible, it's so amazing. I mean, we live in one of the most beautiful places on the planet, and I would say over the last 5 to 10 years, one of those things that just it continues that declines that love for the region because of how difficult it can be to continue to live here with the amount of taxes. I actually looked up all the taxes that have been put on the books over the last 10 years, the levies, the property taxes. And I mean, we are now almost 3 dozen new taxes that have been instituted over the last 10 to 12 years here in both city, county, and state. The payroll taxes, property tax levies, excise taxes, environmental carbon-related taxes, behavioral health, housing levy taxes. I mean, we could go on and on about all of these new taxes. And the question is, are political leaders, they think that these taxes are fixing the affordability issues, but they're not. And I'm bringing this up because I'm so fascinated by an interview that was done yesterday by what some people think is one of our number one villains here in the Pacific Northwest, Jeff Bezos. A lot of people, for whatever reason, think this guy just, because he obviously has done well and has a lot of money, that he is kind of persona non grata here in our region. And he did a very fascinating interview with CNBC yesterday that I think brings up a lot of these issues that I think are just so important that we talk about around affordability and taxes and the things that we think are going to help things get better here in our region. And, he talked about how really we here in Seattle, hey, we're regressive when it comes to our taxes. And when you actually dig into that, is that really the case? Are we really regressive, or are we a little more progressive than we think about? Because our political leaders, advocacy groups, they love to kind of continue to say, hey, we got to change this regressive tax system that we have. Jamie Peterson, right? Our state senator in Olympia, who's like, hey, we've got to flip this on its head. We've got to be able to make this more progressive and less regressive. And that label, it comes largely from reports by the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, or what some call ITEP, which regularly rank Washington near the bottom nationally on tax fairness. And those rankings, as I said, are widely cited by our politicians, advocacy groups, media outlets as proof that Washington's tax code harms lower income residents while favoring the wealthy. But when you actually dive into that, the debate is way more complicated than those headlines or those rankings might suggest. And Bezos, in his interview on CNBC, talked about this a little bit. I thought, and hey, whatever you think about Bezos and you think he's an oligarch or whatever it might be, right? Because he crushed it in a good way when it came to starting a business and being able to do something that a lot of people can't do. Obviously, he's a smart guy. Anyone who does what he does, you've got to be absolutely brilliant and smart. And here's a couple things that in this very fascinating interview he did with CNBC yesterday, talking about this progressive, regressive taxes that actually were more progressive than we think.
Quoted all the time is, the wealthy should pay their fair share. Right. And we can argue about what the fair share is. That's a policy debate. That's okay. But the vilification is the thing that's just the distraction. And by the way, if you really are being honest about it, we don't have a revenue problem in this country. We already have the most progressive tax system in the world. The top 1% of taxpayers pay 40% of all the tax revenue. The bottom half pay only 3%. We have already, and I think it should be zero. I don't think it should be 3%. Right. I think it should be zero. So we'd be making it more progressive that way. We actually have a spending problem.
I've heard this before a few times here in our city. People are starting to talk about it a little bit, like, hey, we've got a little bit of a spending problem here. We might want to look at that. Although we do have, I think, leaders in our city, honestly, who aren't courageous. To be honest, I think there's a capitulation that happens with leaders in our region who aren't willing to say the obvious and willing to say the things that common sense tells us is right in front of our face. Although one of those leaders is not this person who I'm going to talk to right now, John Scholes, the CEO of the Downtown Seattle Association, who's willing to actually say, and John, I wish your colleagues and other people in Seattle would actually say what you've said over the last few months. But people are unwilling to do this. I could go down a list of people you and I know and call us friends and would say, well, how come these Seattle leaders are unwilling to actually call it like it is? So, John, what would you say to that?
Well, I think it's starting to change because the results are pretty clear. And I would take Bezos' comment maybe one step further and say, I don't know that we actually have a spending problem. We're really good at that. We're really good at the spending. I think we've got a results problem. And, both locally and nationally at the state level. And we're spending more locally, spending more at the state level when it comes to general fund revenues than we ever have before. But would any of us, disagree that we're not getting the results we would like? Yeah. I mean, so we've been pretty good at the spending.
Yeah. And why do you think, I look at this across, Seattle and I think of a number of, civic leaders and Seattle leaders who for whatever reason are unwilling to actually just speak out. And if they did, I think that it would change things significantly in terms of this narrative. But the silence for many of our civic leaders in Seattle, because they're too afraid. They look at like, oh man, if I say something, then, what is essentially the far left, what are they going to say about me? What are the unions going to say about me? And I see this capitulation. Do you see that happening?
Well, I think in some ways it's starting to shift because you've got, folks that, aren't right-wing writers or journalists or individuals that are critiquing, the progressive left. Folks like Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson and Mark Dunkelman, who wrote a book last year, Why Nothing Works. So there's a narrative and a conversation now finally being had within the Democratic Party and within the progressive left that, we've raised a lot of taxes. We've created a lot of bureaucracy and rules and regs that have gotten in the way of things that we say we value, whether it's building housing or building high-speed rail or whatever it may be. And so I think that's a good conversation to have, and I hope local electeds here in Seattle and King County are taking note and having those same conversations. Because for far too often, the metric of success here within our city and county has been how much money did we spend relative to last year. And we put out press releases to say we're spending more money on X, Y, or Z. But no one comes back to the conversation of, well, did we get the results? 2-3 years later, do we look at what we actually delivered? Are there fewer people on the streets? Are there more public restrooms open? Is there less crime in our neighborhoods? Those are the things that we all want to see, not just more money going out the door. So I think we're at least starting to have that conversation, both at the national level and hopefully locally as well. Darren Thompson's been here a couple different times. He just had a lunch with him a few weeks ago. He was speaking in front of a group. We had him at our State of Downtown in March. These are important conversations because we're spending more than we ever have before, and we still face a lot of the same challenges.
How much does it concern you that this kind of national perception of Seattle starts to kind of bake itself and become a narrative? Of course, with our new mayor, Katie Wilson, you see this nationally, the national headlines, not even from, the Fox News, but from very Wall Street Journal, right? New York Times. You're talking these publications that are putting out these articles and stories about Katie Wilson and her vilification of business and, saying goodbye to millionaires and saying goodbye to Starbucks. And these things that, is that a big deal in your mind, like this national perception, or do you even care about what a national perception is and just worry about what the nuts and bolts here are at home?
No, I do care, and I think it does matter. The vibes matter. How people perceive our city when they're thinking of investing a lot of capital here, whether it's to build housing or open a retail store like Barnes & Noble did a few weeks ago in our downtown, or locate a company and to put a bunch of jobs here and sign a big lease. They want to understand the vibes and what's the predictability, what's the tone and tenor of the political leadership there that's going to give me some indication of what the next 5 or 10 years might be if I'm signing a 10-year lease or I'm making a big capital bet on a place. So, the vibes and the tone and tenor matter, and those things have not been helpful. I was having lunch with somebody today who's looking at converting a vacant office building in downtown Seattle to residential. Great thing, right? We want to see that. We want more housing. We want to see some of this office space that isn't being used put into use. That's good for folks looking for a home. It's good for the tax base. And they're having to, go talk to capital from other parts of the country about investing in Seattle. And I can tell you their comment to me was those conversations over the last several weeks have been a lot more difficult. And the questions they're getting is not necessarily about the pro forma or the dollars and cents. It's about the vibes, and it's about, the tone and tenor of some elected officials toward employers and others. And so that stuff matters. And, there are people that are making these decisions, whether they're making them about capital or store openings or signing leases. These are people. And predictability is important to business. And if you're looking to place a lot of capital, certainty and predictability is important.
John, I know you've had some complimentary things to say about Katie Wilson around her homelessness policy, but Danny Westney in his column a week or two ago talked about her gaffes, right? And I thought that was an unfortunate, headline, because those weren't gaffes per se, right? They were basically that was her ideology, right? That was her, basically saying goodbye to millionaires. That's part of like her undergirding philosophy. That philosophy is going to hurt our city, is it not? And at what point, do we just we just got to be a little more bold in how we speak about that?
Yeah, the way I looked at it is smart mayor and I think dumb comment. And I think the comments at the picket line in front of Starbucks weren't all that helpful either. And I give her credit for
but those aren't. But don't you think those aren't just comments, right? Like, yeah, we could say dumb comment, but that the comment comes from her philosophy.
Well, what I care most about is her actions, and it's early in her term year. It's early in her first year. We're a couple of months in, and so far I've been pleased with her actions. She's asked her departments for 5 or 10% cuts to close the deficit between revenues and spending. She's committed to police hiring. She's committed to more units and shelter to get people off the street. She's looking at how we can cut some of our fees and red tape that get in the way of building housing. And she sat down with lots of business leaders, and I've appreciated that. And I've talked to many of them. I've been surprised, frankly, that they've had meetings with her of a bunch of different sectors. So at the end of the day, that's what matters most. But the words matter too. And I think we have a mayor new in her role that is maybe learning that, you know, every word and gesture and facial expression is going to get analyzed and cut and shared and all that. So
thanks, John.
I'm not trying to dismiss it, but but the actions are important too.
John Scholl, CEO of the Downtown Seattle Association. Hey, thanks for joining us. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Hey, let's check in with Nate at the real-time traffic desk. How we looking, Nate?
Hey, it's a busy commute out there, Tim. This report brought to you by Global Credit Union. You know, folks are hitting the roads, heading to their camping spots for the holiday weekend. Tacoma to Olympia is an hour and a half, 35-minute delay. It's bumper to bumper at 512 to the JBLM main gate. That's about a 7-mile bumper backup right there. And then slow again between Lacey and Olympia starting near Marvin Road. Seattle to Tacoma is another 50-minute drive, which isn't bad. You've got scattered backups from 405 into Tacoma, though. The good news is you're close to the speed limit through most of this backup. North 5 in Seattle, we're heavy from the Michigan Curve to the Ship Canal Bridge, 35 minutes to get through this. South 5, bumper to bumper from Northgate Way to the Convention Center, 40 minutes now from Linwood in the downtown. Bellevue to Renton, plan on a half hour. You're packed at 520 down to the VMAC. And Everett to Marysville, up to 35 minutes. That's double the norm. We have a really thick backup now from 526 to 528, and now northbound 529. Your bumper to bumper between Everett and Marysville. Global Credit Union, where members enjoy no-fee accounts and early payday with direct deposit. Learn more at globalcu.org. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Honoring the ones who made the ultimate sacrifice. This Memorial Day weekend, while celebrating with friends and loved ones, take a few moments to remember and reflect that we remain the home of the free because of the brave. Reverently celebrating Memorial Day with you. We are KIRO Newsradio, 97.3 FM.
Hey, Dad, have you heard the news from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services?
No, I haven't.
Eggs have climbed higher than ever on the new food pyramid, and that's great news for anyone who loves starting the day strong.
Well, at Wilcox Family Farms, we make it easy with our ready-to-eat hard-boiled eggs. They're a delicious, protein-packed snack you can grab on the go, now ranked higher than ever.
Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
This is Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland. Having trouble with the government agency? Tired of dealing with red tape? I'll help you get the benefits you've earned. My office is here to help you with Social Security, Medicare, the VA, passports, and more. We've recovered millions of dollars for taxpayers and stand ready to help you. Call me at 360-459-8514 or visit strickland.house.gov.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Well, this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to Dan. Dan, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
I had the same insurance company for 30 years and just accepted all the premium increases as inflation or feeling tethered to them because I have earthquake coverage and was uncertain about being able to get that anywhere else. But when I talked to Ken at First Mark, wow, he came back with bigger umbrella policy, better earthquake coverage, which I didn't think was possible. And when he came down with the premium number, it was a no-brainer. We were saving over $2,500 a year. Don't wait, because it's annoying to think of what I could have done with that money over the last 10 years had I done something sooner.
Well, Dan did it. My family did it. You got to do it, and it's totally free. Take the First Mark Challenge today. See how much money they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be the next First Mark Challenge victory that I get to talk to as well. Simply go to firstmarkinsurance.com, firstmarkinsurance.com.
Spike O'Neill here for Ageless Living. Recently, my aunt had surgery, and she was home the next day. But we weren't sure if we were ready or equipped to give the kind of care that she needed, so we called Ageless Living and asked about respite care. A short-term stay that provides 24/7 expert care, Ageless Living amenities, and peace of mind for you and your family. Go to agelessliving.com/spike and schedule a visit. It can be a much-needed break for a caregiver and a chance for you and your family to get a look and a taste of what Aegis Living offers. That's aegisliving.com/spike.
Running a small business means juggling a lot. Your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You need a partner who gives you a greater advantage. Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A first-ever combination of the largest, fastest fiber-powered network, the most reliable Wi-Fi, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. Plus, it's all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A new standard for small business with reliability, security, and savings in one. Switch today. Get started with a great offer as low as $60 a month. When you add it all up, no one does business like Comcast Business.
Offer ends 6/1/26. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet and security edge. 1-year agreement, eco bill, and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
Holy smokes! The On Cruise Adventures Rick Riz Show.
What happened at the ballpark yesterday?
Sparky's sitting on my scorebook here, my cat.
Friday mornings at 8:15 on Seattle's Morning News.
How does your roof look after this winter? Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. Spring into action today. Save $3,000 on a new roof, siding, deck, or windows. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
The action is fierce, the energy is over the top, and it's a night you don't want to miss. It's Excite Fight Live MMA at Muckleshoot Casino Resort on Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. See a full night of incredible combat when MMA fighters face off in the cage and turn the excitement all the way up. Get your tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. The U.S. Director of National Intelligence is stepping down. Tulsi Gabbard says she's resigning and citing her husband's health. ABC's Christiane Cordero has more.
In her resignation letter, Gabbard shares her husband was recently diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer, saying she's stepping away from public service to be by his side. President Trump reacted on social media, posting in part, quote, "Tulsi has done an incredible job, and we will miss her." In recent months, Gabbard and the Trump administration appeared out of sync, sending mixed messages ahead of the war with Iran. Gabbard is now the fourth cabinet member to leave the administration in 3 months. Her last day will be the end of June. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
The U.S. Undersecretary of Energy warns against limiting AI data centers in Seattle. Alex Fitzsimmons, speaking to the Jason Rand Show on Seattle Red, argues that allowing companies to build data centers here is a positive investment.
Training, high-skilled jobs, curricula, like real jobs, not like liberal arts fantasy land.
Now, the Seattle City Council is considering a 1-year moratorium on data centers. Supporters are concerned those facilities would drain the local power supply and drive up energy prices. This is the last summer for Wild Waves in Federal Way. KIRO News Radio's Manda Facta reports the park opens tomorrow for its 50th and final season.
Wild Waves has been struggling financially since the pandemic. Director of Sales and Marketing Weston Petrie says they've lost millions of dollars and the cost to keep running just keep climbing. He says they're going out with a bang.
We're celebrating. It's all wrapping up, but it's been a staple in the community forever.
Dive-in movies, foam parties, a Hispanic cultural festival, and 21 and overnights are all on the calendar. Fright Fest in November will be the last event before Wild Waves closes its doors for good. Manda Factor, KIRO News Radio.
King County is rolling out a new summer job opportunity for teens and young adults. Executive Gurmai Zahalai is announcing YouthWorks. This new program offers more than 200 internships and volunteer roles for ages 16 to 24. Some paid positions this summer, top $30 an hour. The program spans departments from public health to parks. Now to the real-time traffic desk. Here's Nate Connors.
All right, thanks, Aaron. This report is brought to you by Subaru of Puyallup. Tacoma to Olympia, one of our big struggles this afternoon, has been this way since about noon. Hour and a half to make that trip. Your bumper-to-bumper is starting at 512 past the JBLM main gate. Get a little clearing, and then you start to get crowded again near Marvin Road and Lacey, and that continues into Olympia. If you're heading toward Gig Harbor, westbound 16, you're solid from the east end of the Narrows Bridge up to Wallachia Drive, and then you're going to break free. North 5 in Seattle, heavy from the Michigan Curve to the Ship Canal Bridge. South 5 is bumper to bumper from Northgate Way to the Convention Center. Seattle to Everett, once you get over the Ship Canal Bridge, is a 50-minute drive. You're going to slow from 145th and Shoreline up to 164th in Mill Creek. Bellevue to Everett, 55 minutes. Now you're slow through Kirkland, then you'll clear out in Total Lake, and then scattered backups between Bothell and Alderwood. Everett to Marysville, a 35-minute trip, and is really heavy from 526 up to 528. Traffic is stressful. One thing that's always stress-free, great pricing on over 300 new Subarus with easy financing at Subaru of Puyallup. Subaru Puyallup, your stress-free dealership. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Sunny today, warm out there. We'll see morning clouds followed by afternoon sunshine tomorrow. Same thing for Sunday, then rainy, breezy, and cool weather for Memorial Day. Right now, sunny and 75 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
And we are back here at the John Curley Show. Tim Gatos in for John Curley today on this Friday, Memorial Day weekend. And trust you got some great plans. Maybe headed down to Folk Life Festival at Seattle Center. I haven't been for a few years. Gotten my inner hippie on for a moment, but those are the days. We used to live across the street from Seattle Center for quite a few years and going over to the Folk Life. And although I will say nowadays, when you do one of those kind of public events, like Folk Life or Seafair Parade, I took the kids down to Seafair Parade on the waterfront last year, and talk about wearing a mask. My goodness. I mean, is the wafting. It is, I mean, I think my 8-year-old got high and was like, yo, what's up, man? Where's Bob Marley at? Let's hang out. Dude, it was crazy.
That's funny. I used to work by Seattle Center, and my friends and I would make a tradition of it. Is like we would walk over and wouldn't necessarily partake of the festivities. We would do a foodie tour. Like we would just go and grab all kinds of different kinds of foods. Any particular foods or snacks that were memorable to you when you guys would go through the Folk Life or any of the festivals that happened down at the center there? Yeah, I would say anything teriyaki. Oh, sure. Like, we are teriyaki capital of the U.S., and so if there's teriyaki, I mean, I can smell that thing from a couple miles away. It's go time, So how about you? I like get myself some pierogies. Oh, okay. Get some pierogies, get some pierogi, some mac and cheese. What? All kinds of fun vendors that'd be like, it would almost become like a scavenger hunt to find all these different favorite food venders there. Yeah, there you go. Always a fun afternoon on the Friday for Folk Life. Oh, yeah. For sure. Hey, let's continue the next couple minutes. This affordability. We talked about that at the top of the hour. There's a lot to just kind of dive into that we didn't get to. By the way, text us at the Muckleshoot Casino and Resort text line. We'd love to get your thoughts on what we need to do on this affordability issue to really get this thing wrangled and buttoned up. I mean, for so many of us that we don't want to leave. We want to be here. We want to raise our families here. We want our kids to raise their families here. Let us know your thoughts, 888-973-5476. And, one of the things that just, man, I tell you, it gets me a little just frustrated, thinking about our legislators in Olympia. Jamie Peterson, I mentioned him. He's our state senator. He's kind of this de facto leader of a lot of this new policy that has come in, capital gains tax and now the millionaire's tax. And, I'm nowhere, this will not affect me. Now, a lot of people, we think that this could open up the door for an income tax, which would be just, I mean, talk about a bummer. We're hoping that's not the case. But the thing that
that Jamie talks about when he says, hey, we've got to flip this, regressive, progressive tax system that we have. And I don't know if you've heard this, Mike. I don't know if you've heard this, but he talks about the benefit for those of us, middle class, those who are low income. What the millionaire tax is going to bring is that it's going to reduce sales tax of a few items. And he's mentioned, I've seen multiple interviews with Jamie Peterson. He always says the same thing of like, hey, the benefit to taxing and making, the millionaires pay their quote fair share is you're not have to pay sales tax on toothpaste and diapers. And man, you could go and Google this, and I've seen this interview so many times, and he uses this elimination of sales tax of a handful of grocery items as kind of the flag that he's raising to say, hey, yeah, you see how this is going to be helpful, and I'm just like, does he understand how he sounds, and does he understand like, is that really that big of a benefit? Hey, I've had 4 kids. We've paid our fair share of diapers and diaper taxes, right? But I tell you what, when it comes to the type of, and John Scholes talked about it in the last segment about the perception that is very important, kind of the momentum that you want as a region, as a city. Do we want to really derail all of this momentum we have to be able to move so that people want to move out, businesses want to move out so that we can eliminate diaper sales tax? It really boggles my mind that there really isn't more pushback from leaders and people in his party when it comes to like, how does that sell? I mean, does that really move the needle? Do people really get excited? Mike, I don't know. People get excited about, oh my gosh, yes, let's tax them because we're not going to have to pay diaper sales tax anymore.
Yeah, that doesn't move the needle for me at all. And this goes to show how tone deaf folks like Senator Peterson continue to be. And I feel, as somebody that works in downtown Seattle, I feel like my city leadership sometimes is like playing the fiddle while Rome burns.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem like they have our interests in heart and want to just have feel-good legislation and just want to feel good about themselves. And like, that sounds great on paper, not having sales tax on toothpaste and diapers and whatever. But like, I can't trust Jamie Peterson when he tells me that not having a sales tax an income tax is compared to a pie crust promise easily broken.
Yeah.
That's what that guy's word is to me.
Well, I think the thing that Jeff Bezos, and we'll get to this at some point in the program, but some of his comments in this interview that he had yesterday with CNBC, he talked about how most leaders and politicians, they like to blame, right? They look at something like, we want to blame and look at the issue and blame someone. Obviously, Bezos was someone that a lot of our Seattle politicians blamed for every issue that plagues us. And, he said something that was, I thought, profound. He's like, good leaders don't blame, good leaders diagnose. And they diagnose the issue. They look at what are the root causes? What are the root issues of what's happening? Let's not just look at Bezos and Amazon here in Seattle and say, oh, you're the problem. Really? They're the problem? Because, let's go down the list of the things that Amazon has provided to become one of the largest private employers in the U.S. that employs warehouse workers and software engineers and delivery drivers and logistic managers and data center employees and advertising sales teams and cloud engineers. Oh, yeah, they're the problem for employing and giving goods and capital and life to so many people. Yeah, they're the issue. And I don't know why a long time ago people in Seattle didn't push back on this vilification because now here we are, and we're pushing business out for no good reason. So we'll get into that more. It's Tim Gatos in for John Curley
on the John Curley Show. Let's toss it to Nate at the real-time traffic desk. How we looking, Nate?
Tim, it's rough out there, man. It's holiday travel time. KIRO Newsradio App has our update. Tacoma to Olympia is a solid hour-and-a-half commute, about a 35-minute delay here. So you're bumper to bumper at 512 past the JBLM main gate, and then slow again between Lacey and Olympia starting near Marvin Road. Both directions of State Route 18 are jam-packed between the Valley Freeway and I-5. Southbound 167, you're packed from Algona into Sumner, but overall, that drive south down the Valley Freeway doing all right, taking just 35 minutes from Renton to Puyallup. Both directions of State Route 18 have a couple miles backups heading over Tiger Mountain Summit. If you're heading over here east of the mountains, North Bend to Ellensburg has a 1-hour delay already, taking you 2 hours and 15 minutes. It is thick from Snoqualmie Summit into Easton. After Ketchless Lake, things start to thin out a bit for you. And on the water, the Mukilteo Ferry Terminal, a 2-hour wait for drivers. Edmonds has a 90-minute wait for drivers. Text the app to 888-973-5476 to download the KIRO News Radio app. Listen to your favorite shows and get the latest news and updates sent straight to your phone. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
You know how some parts of the house don't work? Let me explain. There's that closet that you've got that when you open it up, everything falls out. Or you try to find something, you can't because it's not working. There's too much stuff in there. And how about the garage? I know some people that can't park their car in the garage because there's everything else parked in the garage. You see what I'm saying? There might be some other parts of the house where it's just packed and there's no place to store anything. So maybe you've even gone to renting one of those storage units. Well, that adds up every single month. You can't even remember what's in there. So a better investment to get parts of those house working would be Closets by Design. The consultant comes to your house. They look at the problem. They know that each one of these problems that need to be solved have to be customized. But you don't get a big customized price. You're going to get 40% off plus an additional 15% off in 18 months, 0% financing on approved credit when paid in full. I really became a believer in Closets by Design when they came out to the barn in Cle Elum. You should see the work that they did. My goodness. 1-800-BY-DESIGN. That's 1-800-BY-DESIGN. That's closetsbydesign.com.
Healthcare costs are rising, and a major driver is hospital prices. They've increased more than 250% over the past 25 years. Families and local businesses are feeling it. At Primera Blue Cross, we're working to change that by negotiating with hospitals to secure fair, responsible prices so you can get the care you need at a cost you can afford. That's coverage that counts. Learn more at coveragethatcounts.primera.com.
Eric Johnson here. I spent the past 30 years working to help make our community better informed, better protected when it comes to consumer issues, and better equipped to take on whatever life throws at us. That's why I love the free Washington Accident book series from Davis Law Group. These books keep us better informed about the law, better able to protect ourselves on and off the road, and better off when all is said and done after an accident. Chris Davis didn't have to write these books. He did it because he saw a need. People who were in accidents or other legal situations didn't know what to do, what pictures to take, documents to request. Only a tiny fraction of the people who get these 3 books will ever become clients of Davis Law Group, but that's not the point. Chris wrote them because it was the right thing to do. The free Washington Accident book series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the road might throw at them. Get yours at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Summer's supposed to be fun. When the kids are home all day, the groceries, they add up fast. G. Scott here with a quick heads up from Safeway. There's a program called Sunbucks that gives qualifying families $120 per child for summer groceries. Some families are signed up automatically and will get a card in the mail. Others need to apply. Take a minute to check. It could really help put food on the table for your family. Head to freesummermeals.org to find out more. That's freesummermeals.org.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just help make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check from Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires, including all-terrain, highway, all-season, and all-weather. So go ahead. Explore with confidence. Les Schwab Tires. We're here to help you take the long way. Limited time offer while supplies last. See leschwab.com/sale for details.
Let's talk about your hair. Well, maybe after we talk about my hair. I've got great hair, as you know, and it's because of Advanced Hair. Yep, Advanced Hair Restoration. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results that I can attest to. Guys, it's not magic, but it's close to it. They put hair where you need it most, and bam, it grows. It's actual science. Advanced Hair has top-rated physicians, modern technology, and best of all, you get your very own natural hair that begins to regrow the very next day. It's even guaranteed to grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now at 425-449-8185. Mention Curly to qualify for $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. It's a limited time offer. Advanced Hair, the winner of the 425 Business of the Year, and the team that gave me my hair back. More importantly, they'll do the same for you, guaranteed. 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
What if you could have the most reliable Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee.
Just 5 years of fiber-powered Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most.
That finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family is banking on bandwidth. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included.
Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi.
Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi? It would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity, imagine that.
Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Powered by fiber. Connected to the premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
Guys, it's Men's Health Month at Revive Washington. Start treatment and get a free comprehensive wellness panel, a $400 value. Check testosterone, blood sugar, cholesterol, and more. Offer ends June 30th. Call 206-529-1111 or visit revivemenshealth.com.
Thanks for calling CM Heating.
Yeah, hi. I need an AC tune-up, and one room isn't comfortable.
We could do both. We'll get your system running right and take a look at the room. Ductless could be a great solution.
Perfect.
Yeah, and if your system's older, right now when you install a qualifying high-efficiency cooling system, the furnace is free.
Wow.
So you get a complete heating and cooling system for the price of one, and we help maximize rebates to save you the most.
Visit cmheating.com today for your tune-up or free estimate.
There's no beating CM Heating.
CMHEA HL751LW.
This hour brought to you by Home Comfort Alliance. Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Tim Gatos in for John today. So glad you're with us. Hey, text us at the Muckleshoot Casino and Resort text line 888-973-5476. We'd love to talk to you today as you're heading out of town on this unbelievable day, Memorial Day weekend. And I tell you, man, if you're going through SeaTac or that's the new nomenclature, right?
That is so dumb, by the way. Like, I live in the city of SeaTac, right across from the airport, and quit trying to make SEA happen. It's not going to happen. Quit being embarrassed of where you're at. I live in SeaTac, and I'm proud of it.
Wow, man.
Unlike the airport.
This hits a nerve with you.
A little bit, yeah.
Hey, by the way, there's going to be 180,000 people going through SeaTac today. Man, they're going to say it's one of the busiest days of the year. 180,000. That's a lot of people going through there. My wife came in last night from a flight. She's like, I have never seen the airport this busy. She came in at like 11. It was like, man, this place was bonkers. And you know, it's a great question about where's this new airport going, because this airport we can't keep pushing people through there. So I don't know. I mean, there's this thing's been happening. This conversation should it go up, expand Payne Field up in Everett. They talked about Pierce County down in kind of the Enumclaw area. Maybe turn McCord Air Force into passenger. We'll see. And but I tell you, my vote is Payne Field. I think we got to go Payne Field because that is there's so many people that are
that area, that population growth up in that area, Snohomish County, is significant. Payne Field's a great place to do that. Have you gone through Payne Field before?
I have. And my only concern with that, because I'm there with you, Tim, but like, if you make it bigger, it might become less nice. Like it's luxurious. It's a really nice airport to go through.
Man, to go there, get that Beecher's mac and cheese. Have you had that Beecher's mac and cheese?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. Hey, Tim Gatos in for John Curley on the John Curley Show. We're going to toss it over to Nate at the real-time traffic desk. How we looking, Nate?
Good, but I tell you what, you mentioned that Beecher's mac and cheese. Now my mouth is just drooling, man. Seattle Sports has our updates. Tacoma to Olympia, an hour and a half this afternoon. You've got big backups starting at 512 through JBLM, and then more scattered backups between Lacey and Olympia. Seattle to Federal Way is clearing out already, just a half hour. North 405, though, is packed from in South Center from I-5 through the Renton S-curve. South Center to Bellevue, 25 minutes. So it's actually improved from an hour ago, which was 35 minutes. Bellevue to Renton, 25 minutes. You're slow from 520 to the Renton Landing. Bellevue to Everett and Seattle to Everett are both 50-minute commutes. Once you get into Everett, Everett to Marysville is about 35 minutes this afternoon, and it is solid from 526 all the way into Marysville. And then eastbound, too, we're seeing heavy volumes between Monroe and Sultan. You can always listen to your favorite local sports content on the FM dial, 97.3 HD2. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Choke Points with Chris Sullivan.
With Choke Points, we try to answer listeners' questions. It can be as simple as a neighborhood stop sign, or it can be as big as the budget for transportation. I don't care. I'll find the answer for you. It's really easy to get a hold of me at mynorthwest.com. We have a direct link there that gets right to me. You can also do it in the app. You can hit me up on the text line.
Choke Points, presented by Carter Subaru. Tuesdays and Thursdays on KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM.
Drivers who switch to Progressive could save hundreds just by bundling home and auto insurance, because you can't go wrong saving money. Unless you spend it on a guitar, never learn to play it, but lie and say that you did. Then someone hands you a guitar at a party and asks you to play, so you decide to improvise this.
Well, don't you know that but that's not it. Dreams are fun and also good.
Yep, you can't go wrong bundling and saving money with Progressive. Well, it depends on how you spend it. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses, plus free delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Hey, John, why don't you tell everybody why you started going to Longevity Medical Clinic?
No, I don't want to do that. I can tell you, I started going to Longevity Medical Clinic before I started doing these commercials, but that why I went is not important.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Okay. I'll tell you. I was a Sammamish City Council member, and whenever they had asked me to do the Pledge of Allegiance, I couldn't make it through the whole thing without crying. I know, it's so dumb. I mean, I know I'm patriotic, but what the heck? So I go into Longevity Medical Clinic, and I explained this to them, that there's something wrong with my hormones or something, and they see the testosterone and the estrogen are all out of balance. We balance all that stuff, and I can do the Pledge of Allegiance without crying. But I've also noticed that I deal with stress a lot better, don't I?
Yes, you're a lot easier to live with because you're getting more sleep, you have more energy, you're better organized, and I'm not helping you look for your car keys every morning.
Right, because now I've taken the steps to take care of my mind and body. I strongly recommend anybody get the free health analysis at lmclinic.com. That's lmclinic.com.
Join in on the conversation by sending a text to 888-973-5476. That's 888-973-KIRO.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Free your team from time-consuming procurement tasks. Discover smart business buying where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Wendy's new Biggie Deals lets you choose whatever you're in the mood for. It's like a music mixing board of deals, and you're the producer. Go with some chill folk music with a JBC in the $4 Biggie Bite snack. Try the drum and bass of deals with a double stack and a $6 Biggie bag. Or go full-on sandwich symphony with an $8 Biggie bundle, the grand finale of snacking. And the best part? They all come with napkins. $4, $6, and $8 Biggie Deals how you want them at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
Get a $15 O'Reilly gift card after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's Staples' 40th anniversary, and they've got deals worth celebrating. Now through May 23rd, enjoy up to 50% off. Save on paper, chairs, custom print, balloons, and more. Staples. That was easy.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong?
I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code GO to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code GO to borrow up to $10,000. Use code GO to borrow up to $10,000.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News.
ABC News, I'm Mike Tabusky. Authorities in New York City are investigating what caused a massive explosion at a Staten Island shipyard this afternoon. The blast sent 16 people to the hospital, 3 of them with serious injuries. Tulsi Gabbard has announced she's stepping down as the Director of National Intelligence.
She came into the role without any traditional intelligence background that drew a lot of scrutiny from members on Capitol Hill. She also built her national profile as an anti-war Democrat, someone who warned against regime change wars. Then she ended up serving as a Republican in this administration during these escalating conflicts in Iran, in Venezuela. And Gabbard has at times made public comments that appear to put her at odds with the messaging from the president and the White House.
ABC's Selena Wang. Gabbard cites her husband's cancer diagnosis as the reason for her departure. And Kevin Warsh was sworn in today as the new chairman of the Federal Reserve. This is ABC News. Demonstrations in Havana, Cuba today over the DOJ's decision to charge Raul Castro in the 1996 downing of 2 planes that were carrying humanitarian aid to Cuba.
There were not a lot of people who were really in favor of either government. You know, you had a lot of people who blamed the Cuban government that we spoke to, who were not happy with the way things were, who very clearly faulted the Cuban government, but they also faulted the United States government and the ongoing blockade there. And I think what you end up getting when you're talking about Cubans on the island, I can tell you most of them are not super happy. Living free is going to be a matter of interpretation depending on which government you're talking to, but I can tell you they are suffering on a daily basis.
ABC's Matt Rivers. The World Health Organization is now warning that Ebola is spreading rapidly across the Democratic Republic of the Congo and neighboring Uganda. They are upgrading the national risk level in that region to very high. I'm Mike Tabusky, ABC News.
Coming up, a murder suspect arrested after 6 years on the run. That's after Nate Connors at the real-time traffic desk.
All right, this one brought to you by the KIRO Newsradio App. Tacoma to Olympia still hanging on at an hour-and-a-half commute. You're solid from 512 past the JBLM main gate, and then more slowing between Lacey and Olympia, starting about Marvin Road. Here in Seattle, South 5, packed from Northgate in the downtown. It's 50 minutes from Linwood in the downtown. North 5, typical backups from the Michigan Curve to the Ship Canal, about 40 minutes to get through this. Now, Bellevue to Everett and Seattle to Everett are both 50-minute trips. Again, we're struggling up in Everett this afternoon. North 5 is packed from 526 up to 529, and it's taking about a half hour to get through that. Eastbound 2, heavy between Monroe and Sultan. And on the water, the Mukilteo Terminal, a 2-hour wait for drivers. Got a 90-minute wait for drivers in Edmonds, and now a 1-hour wait for drivers in Point Defiance. And Folk Life is underway at Seattle Center, so that's bringing in throngs of people as well. That's through Monday. Admission is free. Text the app to 888-973-5476 to download the KIRO News Radio app. Listen to your favorite shows and get the latest news and updates sent straight to your phone. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. Renton police announced the arrest of a murder suspect who'd been on the run for 6 years. KIRO News Radio's James Lynch has details.
A break in the case came Thursday night around 9 p.m. Investigators developed information that 26-year-old O'Shea Williams, wanted for the 2020 fatal shooting of 21-year-old Jim Rout, was in the Renton area. They found him near Benson Road and Southeast 172nd Street. He was taken into custody after a short foot chase. Here's Renton PD's Megan Black.
This person, if you look at the charging documents, had an extensive criminal record. So we are definitely happy to have this individual behind bars.
Williams is charged with first-degree murder. James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
Auburn police are still searching for a suspect who they say shot a 17-year-old on board a Metro bus last night. Investigators believe the victim and the shooter knew each other. They say there is no threats to the community. The teen was rushed to Harborview in stable condition. Brief scare at Tacoma's Point Defiance Zoo today after a clouded leopard escaped keepers during an outdoor show. Zoo officials say the 11-year-old cat climbed a tree and refused to come down. Did prompt some area closures. The leopard was safely returned to its enclosure later in the day. Nobody was hurt. Filling up your tank going to cost you quite a bit more this Memorial Day weekend than last year.
Here in Washington, our average sits at $5.78 a gallon. That's down about a half cent since Thursday. Last Memorial Day weekend, AAA says we were only paying $4.38. Patrick DeHaan is with GasBuddy.com.
Americans this Memorial Day are going to be shelling out roughly $2 billion more over the 4-day holiday weekend. That's certainly a significant sum.
Now, he expects gas prices to drop through the weekend, but possibly jump again early next week. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
Well, new this summer, Pike Place Market is letting you sip while you shop. Starting June 5th, the weekend pilot known as Sip and Savor lets visitors buy adult beverages from certain vendors and carry them through the markets. Leaders say this is a boost for small businesses and a way to keep people lingering longer. Program runs Fridays through Sundays, noon to 5 through Labor Day. Your weather update now. Looking at sunny skies, highs in the mid-70s across the map. It's a gorgeous Friday afternoon. More 70s for tomorrow. Low 70s Sunday. Rain returns for Memorial Day on Monday. Right now, 76 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome to the John Curley Show. Tim Gatos in for John Curley today on this Friday Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for tuning in, being with us. We'd love to interact with you, talk to you. Text us on the Muckleshoot Casino and Resort text line, 888-973-5476. Hope you got some great plans. They said the Washington State Ferries, 350,000 people are going to be riding the ferries this weekend. My goodness, that's a lot of people on a few ferry boats. We've got a pretty good system, but it's not like we've got hundreds of boats. I mean, that's a lot of people. Looking forward to it, though. Great weather. Man, it's going to be beautiful. You know, we got Mike Seibert producing today. Mike, man, it's good to be with you.
Yeah, definitely. This has been a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. You know, Mike, it was about 8 years ago. I was looking at running for Seattle City Council, and we were living in Seattle, still in Seattle, and had a friend who was the current city council member who said, "Hey, I'd love to. I'm going to retire. You should step in." And so I went through a few months of the process of considering it, thinking about it, discerning, and met with a lot of people. And I love our city, I love our area, and was just like, if this is something I can do to help serve, was starting to see this, this social fabric kind of disintegrate a little bit. There's a lot of vilification that was happening, and so kind of explored that, and ultimately, of course, decided not to do it. part of it was like, I don't know if I want someone to show up at my house and like throw bags of poop at my front door. That just didn't sound that fun. I mean, some of the things that some of the people experience around here, I've had a couple people I know who have had some pretty alarming experiences happen at their home, their residence here in Seattle, of people who show up there and want to do certain things. I mean, it's not pleasant around here, but it's interesting going through that process and just discerning and thinking about that, because I really saw that there, for the most part, there's just a lot of there's this ideology that I think that really takes us and takes our city, and it's called I call it the Seattle orthodoxy, right? There's the Seattle orthodoxy that if you steer outside of the orthodoxy, then there's hell to pay. And that's why I see with a lot of leaders today that when they're really afraid to say anything outside of what the quote unquote orthodoxy is, because they could be, pigeonholed as a certain way. And I think that has created a lot of the issues we see today, is because I think we've seen just a lot of capitulation from our leaders and people who are unwilling to come out and speak pretty bluntly and forcefully about what's true. That, hey, when you do certain things, when you decriminalize certain actions and behaviors, you're gonna see a snowball effect happen in your city. When we refuse to speak out about prosecuting crimes, when we refuse to speak out about judges who are basically activists and not people who are willing to actually want to see people get rehabilitated, then we're going to see a snowball effect happen in our cities. And we saw that, back in the 90s, and when New York City went through its massive transformation for the good, and that whole concept of the broken windows theory, when you allow a window to stay broken and you don't fix it and you don't show that you care, then that trickles down to other areas. And we see that now. I mean, think about graffiti in our city. 10 years ago, you wouldn't have seen probably what percent of the graffiti that we see now. I mean, there's so much more graffiti today than there was 10 years ago, but we came to a point where we said, we're okay with this. We're okay with the graffiti. We're not going to go after anyone who is doing this. We're actually going to maybe call it art and say we're okay with it. So now we've basically said we're going to live with it, and we're okay with this blight on our city. And that's how things kind of turn. And until we have leaders and people willing to actually stand up and just speak truth and speak common sense, we may not see much change. Now, I was encouraged by an interview I saw yesterday. One of our Seattle City Council members, Rob Saka, who's in the kind of West Seattle SoDo district, he did an interview and he spoke, more forcefully and truthfully than I've seen some of our city council members speak for quite a while. So I was encouraged by some of the things he was saying. I mean, we got some of the clips here, Mike. Let's play this.
I'm gravely concerned when we lose jobs. I'm gravely concerned when we don't have enough employers paying living wage jobs. I think it's incredibly counterproductive when we seek to trivialize or villainize the perspective of anyone, whether we agree or disagree.
What is the message you're going to try to send Starbucks when you meet with them?
We're open for business.
How do you recruit businesses to come back to Seattle and start filling up storefronts?
The number one thing we can do to support our business community is create a safe place for their workers, customers, suppliers, partners to gather, to work, to thrive.
The budget hole is going to be big. There's going to have to be cuts or more revenue. If she or her staff comes down to the second floor and says, hey, we need to expand the Jumpstart tax and tax business even more, What are you going to tell them?
That Jumpstart proposal, theoretical right now, I would be very worried and concerned about the volatility of that and the impact. Because everyone here has a choice. Residents choose to live in Seattle or not. Businesses choose to do business in Seattle, or they can pick up their crayons and go across Lake Washington. We don't want that.
Even in that interview, you can hear the hedging in his voice, right? Yeah. You can hear the hedging, and I've heard that. You know how many times I've heard that hedging over the years? People they're so concerned, like, oh gosh, like, should I actually speak my mind or speak what I think is the truth or common sense or whatever it is? And the hedging that you heard in that voice. Now I'm grateful that Rob Saka, spoke and used the words, hey, I'm gravely concerned about our business climate and that people understand of what businesses bring to it. Imagine if we had no Amazon, no Microsoft, no Starbucks, right, in this region. The people who are running our city right now, they don't have the ability to actually understand of what the reality of what they bring and what would happen if they weren't here. And we talked a little bit about that earlier, about all the things that the jobs and the ecosystem that exists. And I was glad that Rob, mentioned that, but you can still hear the hedging in his voice, that he's not there. There's more there. Like, he's got more to say. And I guarantee you, if we were talking to him right now and say, Rob, man, me and you, one-on-one, I mean, just tell us what you think. There's more there, and we need leaders who are willing to do that if we're going to make our way out of some of the issues we've made. One of the things that was funny, Mike, we were talking about this earlier, is that it's incredible how far, Democrats have come in the last, 10, 20 years. There's an X post that someone posted that was going viral across the country that said, kids today will never understand how hard 90s Democrats would get canceled in 2026. And I think that's just, what a statement there that, man, Democrats from a few years ago would actually be canceled in 2026. And here's some of here's the comments that they made about this.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country.
Our immigration policies are a shambles, plain and simple. And right now, our borders are amazingly porous to people who shouldn't be here, such as terrorists, drug smugglers, etc.
If you break our laws by entering this country without permission and give birth to a child, we reward that child with U.S. citizenship. And we wonder, in this country, why we have an illegal immigration problem.
Unlawful immigration is not acceptable.
We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop them.
So why do you think, text us, 888-973-5476. Why have the Democrats moved so far from the Bill Clinton era Democrats where they're really unrecognizable today? Back in, the Bill Clinton Democrats, it was about balanced budgets, deficit reduction, free trade, welfare reform, market-friendly policies, public-private partnerships. Why have they moved so far? Why are they unrecognizable in today's Democrat world? 888-973-5476. It's Mike, I'd be curious your thoughts. Yeah. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I want to go back to that Rob Saka clip for a sec, because you had mentioned that you hear the hedging in his voice, and that's absolutely true. And I think Seattle politicians have to be careful to not say too much common sense, to not alienate their radical leftist supporters. And I think somebody like Rob Saka's kind of got on that razor's edge of just like, oh man, I don't want to say too much common sense or I'm going to get canceled. They might start labeling me, Rob Saka, MAGA Republican, or just something inflammatory like that. And I think we've seen that with the contemporary Democrat Party, where they've gone so far to the radical left that the Bill Clintons of the world, that's virtually unrecognizable to the folks running Seattle today.
Yeah. It's interesting how much of just our lives are, it's action and reaction, right? And it's almost like it's a tennis game, volley back and forth, right? Like, Trump got elected because of Obama, and then Biden got elected because of Trump, and then Trump got reelected again because of Biden, right? There's these actions and reactions. And, it's interesting. I've thought of this multiple times, and I'd love to kind of dive more into just kind of this thought, but it's interesting because thinking of like the reaction. So a lot of the, far left, they, over the years, they reacted against, I would say, the religious fundamentalism of our country. So if you think back into the 20th century, let's say the 1940s, 50s, right? Some of the kind of the height of religious fundamentalism in our country, where legalism was a big deal. And a lot of us, we don't like that term legalism. And, legalism is when I tell you, Mike, how to live, right? I say, this is what I think is true. This is how I'm living, and I'm going to impose this on you. And so back in the in the 1950s and 60s, that era, legalism came from religious people, right? And so that was in a lot of ways how we saw then the 70s happen, the hippie movement, right? So you had that kind of reaction to this religious fundamentalism. And it's interesting now when you look at America, the legalism from religious people is pretty much gone, right? There's in our country, there's really not a lot of legalism, where from the most part, now there's pockets of it for sure, but for the most part, there isn't this kind of mainstream legalism where religious people are kind of imposing, like, this is how you should live. Now they have beliefs, but it's not like imposing them on you. Where what I've seen is that the legalism today, it's shifted, right? The legalism used to come from the right and religious people. Now the legalism has shifted to secular people on the left. So it's secular people on the left who now impose legalism, how you should live, what you should do, what you should say. And I'm going to impose this on you now. And so I find that just really fascinating how that, and again, I think a lot of this is just about reaction, right? So people on the left over the last 50, 60 years, they did not like how religious people imposed legalism on them. But now it's actually the secular people on the left who are doing the exact same thing that they didn't like what the religious people did to them in the 20th century. And now I want, what's going to be the new reaction over the next 20 years, right? There's going to be another reaction that happens over the next 20 or 30 years. A lot to talk about there. Anyways, Tim Gatos in for John Curley on the John Curley Show. We're going to send it over to Nate at the real-time traffic desk. How we looking, Nate?
Well, it's a busy commute out there, Tim. Let's see. This report brought to you by Seattle Sports. I'm going to try to focus on our collisions and our holiday backups this afternoon. So just with that in mind, keep in mind that all the usual backups are still out there. So with that said, South 5 at Northeast 45th here in Seattle, we have a disabled school bus blocking the left lane. You're backed up in the North Gate. Linwood to Seattle just hit 1 hour. That is double the norm. Heading out toward Gig Harbor, Harbor, westbound 16 at Olympic Drive. A collision blocks your right lane. You're backed up to Jackson Avenue. Tacoma to Olympia, an hour and a half. You're bumper to bumper from 512 to the JBLM main gate. You'll catch a little breather, and then we're slow again, starting in Nisqually, really, into Olympia. Out of Monroe, eastbound 2. We're packed from Monroe into Sultan. That's an 8 to 9 mile bumper to bumper backup. Everett to Marysville is a half-hour drive. You're bumper to bumper from the Boeing Freeway up to 528 in Marysville. Northbound 529 is now solid between Everett and Marysville as drivers ditch that I-5 backup. And North Bend to Ellensburg on eastbound 90 is a 1 hour delay right now. You've got a backup from the Summit into Easton. Download the Seattle Sports app to stay in the know with the latest news, scores, and opinions about your favorite teams. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, the first place you turn for the news you trust.
Renton police investigating a shooting that happened just after midnight.
Engaging conversation.
It's just indefensible. The mayor's communications team should be better.
Traffic.
A full closure now, southbound 509 at Alexander Avenue.
And your Super Bowl champion Seahawks.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
Streaming everywhere on the KIRO News Radio app. Always here, always with you. KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM.
Progressive's accident response can detect and send help when you need it most, after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's accident response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
The NBA playoffs are underway, and now you can trade every game on Kalshi. You can also trade on who wins each series, the conference finals, and the championship. San Antonio is currently trading at 19% to win it all, meaning a $100 trade pays out over $500 if they take the title. On Kalshi, you're trading against other people in a live market. No house, no odds makers. And as odds move, you can buy in or out anytime throughout the postseason. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code SHOT to get $10 when you trade $10. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
Under these arches, opposing teams are put to the test. Can they hear themselves over the boom of the 12s? Can they withstand the Seattle elements? Can they compete against us? Touchdown, Seahawks! This city lives for Sunday. Get your tickets for Seahawks game days at Lumen Field and experience what this city lives for. Visit Seahawks.com today.
The Harnish Auto Family Super Sale is happening right now. The cost of living has gone up, but when buying a car, it doesn't have to feel like it. Zero Down delivers, no payments all summer, and exclusive 10-day deals in partnership with Tapco Credit Union. With a wide selection of new vehicles and over 400 used vehicles across 5 dealerships, you'll find just what you're looking for. Visit Subaru, Volkswagen, and Chevy Buick GMC of Puyallup or Kia and Chevy of Everett. Harnish Auto Family. People matter.
Offers available OAC on select models. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
You could sleep through the night without thinking twice. You could take a seat in the middle of the theater. You could drive without worry of where the next restroom is. You used to say yes, and somewhere along the way, you stopped. Not because of one big moment, because of 100 small ones. A little more urgency, one more trip to the bathroom at 2 a.m., one more mental note about where the restroom is. It happened slowly enough that it just became you. But it's not you. It's enlarged prostate, and there's a treatment called aquablation therapy, the only ultrasound-guided robotic-assisted therapy for enlarged prostate. Find an aquablation therapist near you. Call Aquablation Seattle at 206-666-2466, 206-666-2466. That's 206-666-2466. All surgical treatments carry risks, and results may vary. Side effects may include urinary symptoms, mild pain, ejaculatory dysfunction, or infection. In rare cases, complications to the urethra and rectum may occur. Aquablation therapy may not be right for everyone. Talk to your urologist to learn more. Visit aquablationseattle.com.
Eric Johnson here. I spent the past 30 years working to help make our community better informed, better protected when it comes to consumer issues, and better equipped to take on whatever life throws at us. That's why I love the free Washington Accident book series from Davis Law Group. These books keep us better informed about the law, better able to protect ourselves on and off the road, and better off when all is said and done after an accident. Chris Davis didn't have to write these books. He did it because he saw a need. People who were in accidents or other legal situations didn't know what to do, what pictures to take, documents to request. Only a tiny fraction of the people who get these free books will ever become clients of Davis Law Group, but that's not the point. Chris wrote them because it was the right thing to do. The free Washington Accident Book Series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the road might throw at them. Get yours at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Memorial Day weekend. You know what that means.
No work on Monday.
And the start of the summer season.
With all the summer sales this weekend. Look at all these ads.
I know, but there is one store we really should visit.
Why?
To check out the new TVs from Samsung and LG and Sony.
Aren't those expensive?
Not this weekend. Video Only has huge deals on the new models and even trade-in discounts.
What about online or the warehouse clubs?
We can do better at Video Only. They've got the lowest prices of the year on the new TVs, including all the top-rated models.
Okay, let's check them out. Or
we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or dishwashers, but you will find the best deals on the best TVs, soundbars, and home theater systems. Shop around, but then make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In South Center, Bellevue, Linwood, Federal Way, and Tacoma. Video Only.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. The Trump administration unveils a major shift on immigration policy, now saying most people seeking green cards will have to leave the U.S. and apply from abroad. CBS's Cammie McCormick has more.
For over half a century, foreign nationals with legal status have been able to apply for and complete the entire process for permanent residence while in the U.S., including individuals married to U.S. citizens. This is the latest step by the administration, making legal immigration more difficult for foreigners already in this country. And critics say forcing people to return to their home countries to apply for a green card would result in many of them being barred from coming back.
Top U.S. Energy Department official says Seattle may regret limiting AI data centers. KIRO News Radio's Frank Lindsay has that story.
Alex Fitzsimmons, the acting undersecretary of energy, tells the Jason Ranch Show on Seattle Red 770 AM, approving a proposed one-year moratorium on data centers would be a mistake.
You think about all the tax base that these large companies are bringing to these communities. We've seen examples of some counties elsewhere in the country that have been able to completely eliminate property tax.
Supporters of the moratorium, including Mayor Katie Wilson, say allowing data centers would drive up energy prices. But Fitzsimmons says over time, the energy prices would go down. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
Presidents of the Seattle City Council is responding to her predecessor, who raised questions about a police officer presence at council meetings. Joy Hollingsworth tells KIRO Radio's Gian Ursula that she made that request in January to have 2 SPD officers present while the full council meets on Tuesdays.
They come when they can, if they have extra officers, and if they don't, they don't. And so it's a request that was made. I think it's fairly simple. They do it a lot of municipalities across the country, and it's something to keep everyone safe, not just council members.
Former council president Sarah Nelson called the request unusual, saying it may strain a police force that's already understaffed. It is the beginning of the end of an era for Wild Waves, a summer staple here for 5 decades. The theme and water park is closing for good after this season, which opens tomorrow. Weston Petrie is Director of Sales and Marketing.
It's exciting, and it's also a bummer.
He says Wild Waves has lost millions of dollars since the pandemic. The future of that property remains uncertain. Now to the real-time traffic desk at 432. Here's Nate Combs.
Thanks. Let's see. This report brought to you by Subaru of Puyallup. All right, here in Seattle, we cleared our stalled school bus, South 5, just before the Ship Canal Bridge. We're left with a bumper-to-bumper backup from Northgate Way all the way to the convention center. It's a 55-minute trip from Linwood into downtown Seattle. Seattle to Everett and Bellevue to Everett are both pushing 50 minutes. Once you get into Everett, it is thick. Everett to Marysville, in fact, is a half-hour drive. It's bumper-to-bumper from the Boeing Freeway up to 528, and northbound 529 is also packed between Everett and Marysville. Out of Monroe, eastbound 2 is packed from downtown Monroe into Sultan, about an 8 to 9 mile bumper-to-bumper backup here. Bellevue to Renton and South Center to Bellevue, built 25 minutes here along 405. Out in Gig Harbor, we just cleared that collision westbound 16 at Olympic Drive, and you're backed up to Jackson Avenue, though. Tacoma to Olympia really has been unchanged for the last 4 hours. It is a solid hour and a half commute in your bumper-to-bumper from 512 past the JBLM main gate, and then more scattered slowing from Nisqually into Olympia. While traffic is stressful, one thing that's always stress-free, great pricing on over 300 new Subarus. With easy financing is Subaru of Puyallup. Subaru Puyallup, your stress-free dealership. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Well, Memorial Day weekend gets off to a good start. Highs in the mid-70s the next couple of days. Low 70s Sunday, rain on Monday. Right now, 75 and sunny in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Start your day with solutions, not problems. KIRO 7 pinpoint weather and real-time traffic every 10 minutes. From downpours to backups, whatever is waiting for you when you head out the door. KIRO 7 News in the morning will get you prepared. Stay up to the minute every 10 minutes. Watch KIRO 7 News in the morning, 4:30 to 7 a.m.
This hour brought to you by Bucky's Auto Repair. Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Tim Gatos in for John Curley today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Coming up later, Alex Berenson will join us. Alex became unbelievably prominent during COVID, one of the most prominent voices in our country. And he sued the federal government for First Amendment free speech rights, and came out last week. The incredible announcement. We're going to talk to Alex about that. You're not going to want to miss this. Well, Mike, friends, tomorrow is Saturday, and it's the first day of the last season for Wild Waves in Enchanted Village. And I tell you, I've been thinking about this, just thinking about all the memories and the thoughts, and they've all been flooding back. I mean, oh my goodness. All of the field trips and church trips, and oh my goodness, there's been so many moments, literally, of Wild Waves over the years that I remember going in 8th grade with Allison, and I had a crush on Allison, and we're walking around Wild Waves, and I was like, oh, should I hold her hand? And you go and you're going down the water slides, and I mean, just all those incredible memories. Yeah. Oh man. This is it.
Yeah, this is it. It's truly an end of an era, and not to, make it dour, but also kind of like a legacy of missed opportunities. Like, remember, Six Flags purchased the property for a hot minute, and I guess they didn't read the development laws, because they were going to make big giant Six Flags style roller coasters, couldn't get it done, ended up selling, and it's bittersweet because I have two Wild Wave stories that I'll tell. One, much like several other folks my age, that's where our graduation party was. We basically they took us to Jackson High School, which was just built at that point for Linwood High School's graduation, throw us on the bus, and down to Federal Way we went. And going to Wild Waves at night is a trip.
Yeah,
you
right.
Still got to do all the water park stuff, none of the roller coasters or the rides or anything, but to do that in a nighttime setting with all your dumb teenage friends, that's a treasure core memory.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I also remember this was right after I had got my driver's license, and I took my two younger cousins to Wild Waves, and we talked about that as recently as this last Christmas. Oh yeah, remember when we took this road trip, and it was a year where 405 was completely closed, and we went on this whole odyssey, just real core memory, family stuff,
totally.
like you were talking about.
So cool.
Great stuff.
Although I won't miss the wave pool, because
no, that's a petri dish.
I mean, my gosh, that wave pool is that's gross. I mean, literally, I just that warm kind of water. It's why is it so warm, Hey, tell us your favorite Wild Waves or Enchanted Village memory. Would love to hear that. What's your favorite Wild Waves memory? Text us 888-973-5476. I remember taking my kids the first time to Wild Waves, and we went to a concert. They started putting on some really good concerts there. They did some great stuff. So if you remember, so many of you are probably from here. You remember it opened in 1977 as Enchanted Village, of course, on those little rides, and then Wild Waves opened up in 1984, and of course, as you know, it's just been a staple of this community for so long. And it's one of those things that's. It's really sad to see so many iconic institutions around our area that have closed. Of course, this is Weston Petrie. He shared earlier on KIRO News about some of the just challenging issues they've had financially, which is why they're closing. He said coming out of COVID, we never really got back on our feet again, and we just can't pull this off. And nothing is known about what's going to happen with that land. Obviously, that's a nice piece of land right off of I-5 there. No one knows what's going to happen with that quite yet. But so many things from our childhood. I was thinking about this, of all the things from growing up in this area that are just, no longer here. And of course, that's just part of life, right? Everything changes, everything moves. But when I started thinking about this, let me see if you remember this, Mike. Do you remember the Iron Horse?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
When I was thinking about things that I miss from like Wild Waves from back in the day, the Iron Horse, I remember going with my dad to Mariners games. We'd stop, before we go into the Kingdom, and we'd stop at the Iron Horse there in Pioneer Square, and they would bring you your food on that little train, and it would come around to you. Oh, my gosh. And then Farrell's. That's another. Do you remember Farrell's?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
May have been before my time.
Farrell's was pretty legit. Nate probably remembers Farrell's. He's old enough.
Is that an ice cream joint?
Huh?
What? Huh? Wake up over there, Nate.
Yeah, Rocky Road.
Dude, Farrell's was the jam, dude. I mean, that was like an ice cream parlor, and they'd have the big bass drum that they'd beat, boom, 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 and they'd have the big pig trough of ice cream that you'd have to eat, and oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going Farrell's, and then the other one that was like legendary, Pizza and Pipes.
Oh yeah,
over in Greenwood,
good stuff.
Kind of where that Fred Meyer is. Yep. In Greenwood, Pizza and Pipes. Does anybody remember Pizza and Pipes? Andrew, Nate, no Pizza and Pipes?
Yes.
Pizza, what?
Pizza and Pipes.
Yeah, I love that place.
Dude, you'd go. They had the big Wurlitzer organ.
Yeah,
and they would show old movies, and then they'd have a live organist who was playing. Oh, my goodness. I mean, those were the days.
Well, I thought you were supposed to find your pipe and then go in there.
Nate.
Bad joke. I went for a joke.
Tell that joke you told earlier, though.
No, I can't.
Also,
Nice.
Please don't.
Yeah.
I like working here and would like to continue working
Thank
here.
you, damn
I
it.
know it's a Friday on a holiday weekend, but call off the dogs, Nate Dogg.
Hey, and not to, just reminisce too much here, but this is the last thing that just announced it's closing as well. Another iconic institution. The news just came out. The Boeing IMAX Theater, it's the largest theater screen in all of Washington, is no longer going to show feature films. So it's still going to be there. So the IMAX at the center, it's that 80-foot wide, 6 stories tall. It's only going to play kind of short movies, documentaries, at least for now. Hopefully they bring that back. But, that is, talk about iconic. I love going there for those big movie openers. I remember Oppenheimer just a couple years ago. It's like, oh, man, we got to go to the IMAX at Pacific Science Center. So, the Space Needle, they purchased this from Pacific Science Center recently for $17 million. And according to the Seattle Times, the agreement states that Space Needle still has the option to show feature films, but there are no immediate plans to bring them back in 2026 as of now. And it's currently closed for renovation. So IMAX down at Pacific Science Center, the big one, the smaller one will continue to show feature films, but the big one will not. So Tim Gatos in for John Curley on the John Curley Show. Let's check in with Nate at the real-time traffic desk. What's up, Nate?
Thank you, sir. Harnish Auto Family has the update. Well, lots up, that's for sure. It is a busy holiday weekend as folks are hitting the road. Linwood to Seattle is taking 50 minutes. It's a parking lot, man. From Northgate Way to the Convention Center, there's no other way to put it. North 5, scattered backups between the Michigan Curve and Ship Canal Bridge. We're already starting to clear out here through the heart of downtown, so it's just a half hour to clear this. Everett to Marysville continues to struggle. We're at 35 minutes from Everett to Marysville. Bumper to bumper from the Bowling Freeway up to 528. Out in Monroe, eastbound 2, we're starting to thin down a bit. Scattered backups now between Monroe and Sultan. Bellevue to Renton pushing a half hour. Really, we've got a typical backup here starting at 520 down to the VMAC. It's really thick to get through Factoria. South Center to Bellevue has scattered backups from South Center through the Renton S-curves. It'll take you 25 minutes. Out in Gig Harbor, heading that way, we're bumper to bumper from Jackson Avenue up to Olympic Drive, where a collision sits on your right shoulder. And Tacoma to Olympia, unchanged. It's taking you an hour and a half to make this commute. The Harnish Auto Family Super Sale through May 31st. Exclusive deals, 0 down, and no payments all summer on approval of credit. In Puyallup and Everett, Harnish Auto Family. People matter. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Honoring the ones who made the ultimate sacrifice. This Memorial Day weekend, while celebrating with friends and loved ones, take a few moments to remember and reflect that we remain the home of the free because of the brave. Reverently celebrating Memorial Day with you. We are KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Nick, you know what my dad always used to say?
Oh, which thing? Let me guess. If you put anything on a hot dog besides mustard, it's un-American?
Okay, that's true. Okay, but no, about the word worry. Remember he used to say about the word worry?
Yes, that it's not a verb, but it actually is.
I know it's a verb, but Nick, his point was nothing comes from worrying. You can sit here and worry about all the news and all about the chaos in the world. You worry about your health, but nothing comes of it. You have to take action.
Right.
Like, for instance, you and I, we go into Longevity Medical Clinic. That's an action. It's about taking that action. Like, people can go to Longevity Medical Clinic, take the free health analysis, and then they can find out how they're aging and the things they can do in order to slow down the process to have a big, full, rich life so you can enjoy a hot dog with whatever you want on it.
And now worry is a verb.
See, there you go. So it all starts for you taking action. I was a patient at Longevity long before I started doing these commercials. So get your free health analysis. Go to lmclinic.com. That's lmclinic.com.
Hartley Wilcox here. Do you know where your food comes from? If it's perishable, you should read the package. Wilcox Farms eggs are locally fresh from Washington. For the freshest choice, choose Wilcox Family Farms.
A shot to center field. Julio is there, and Julio makes the catch!
At T-Mobile Park, you've always got the best seat in the house, even when there's not an actual seat, because you're in the T-Mobile pen.
They're going crazy here at T-Mobile Park.
The pen isn't just the perfect space to hang with your whole crew. It's where you can see Julio defend the no-fly zone 1 minute and watch Senor Smoke get ready for his big entrance the next.
Andres Munoz has simply been incredible.
Sure, the pen is standing room only, but with a team this exciting, who wants to be sitting down? Mariners baseball. Try this up.
90s weekend is coming up as the Mariners take on the D-backs. The fun gets started May 29th with 90s Fireworks Night presented by T-Mobile. Then it's back-to-back giveaways with Julio Rodriguez sleeveless jerseys on May 30th and Ken Griffey Jr. pins on May 31st. Both presented by Key Bank. Get your tickets at mariners.com.
Lumen Field on Seahawks game days is your key to unlocking premium hospitality, views, and experiences. Host a memorable event in your own private game day suite. Or see an up-close, unique perspective from sideline and end zone field seats. To learn more about all the ways you can elevate your Seahawks game day at Lumen Field, visit Seahawks.com/premium.
Digging in my yard, trying to lay a pipe. I hit a water line and now I have to pay a big fine. I should have called 811.
You know what you can trust? The protection you get when you bundle home and auto insurance with Progressive. You know what you can't trust? Everything else, apparently. Like when you saw that article that said that thing you eat every day is a superfood and great for your gut health. But then 30 seconds later, a different article warns you to avoid it and it's taking years off your life. Well, which is it? Kind of a big difference there. Anyway, bundle home and auto insurance with Progressive for reliable coverage in a reliably unreliable world. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Got any markdowns on brakes?
We mark Duralast brake pads down to free.
Free Duralast brake pads?
When you buy 2 rotors.
Can I get Duralast Gold pads for free?
With 2 Duralast Gold rotors, and there's a lifetime warranty on brake pads.
That's a huge markdown for so many miles.
Save on brakes and more during Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Memorial Day weekend, the beginning of summer, and the first big sales event for the new TVs. Samsung, LG, and Sony dominate the ratings again this year. And this weekend, you can save up to $500 on their top-rated models. Where will you get the best deal on these new models? At Video Only, where all the smart shoppers go. Before you buy a new TV, check out Video Only, or you'll be sorry.
Clutter happens. Let Closets by Design save the day. For a limited time, get 40% off plus an additional 15% off and 18 months 0% financing on approved credit if paid in full. Go to closetsbydesign.com or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN.
We are back here at the John Curley Show. Tim Gatos in for John today. Thanks for tuning in on this Friday, Memorial Day weekend. Beautiful day here in Seattle. My goodness. I mean, when you have days like this, can't beat it. Hope you got some great Memorial weekend plans. You know, last night, I don't know if you heard this, but President Trump applauded House Republicans for advancing legislation to enact year-round daylight saving time, saying that he would work very hard to pass the bill and end the nation's semi-annual clock changes. No more what are they, spring forward, fall back, all that stuff. Oh, my goodness. I mean, here in Washington, we've been talking about that for a little while, but we never kind of moved forward with that. And now here we are. I mean, this is kind of a big deal. I mean, it impacts us quite a bit, right? Because we have, because of how north we are, we have such extreme time differences with light and darkness and all that. So the legislation now heads to the House floor, where its prospects are unclear, but past efforts to enact year-round daylight savings times have been stymied by lawmakers and voters' strong, often opposing views on the issue. Trump has repeatedly called for the change across his political career, but the responsibility of changing the nation's time code rests with Congress, meaning that a president cannot issue an executive order. The Washington Post, they reported this week that House Republicans would resurrect what's called the Sunshine Protection Act this week and attach it to transportation legislation after years of not passing it out of the committee. States are required to observe daylight saving time, quote, springing forward in March, falling back in November, although Hawaii and part of Arizona have opted out and follow year-round standard time. 19 states have also approved measures that would allow them to adopt year-round daylight saving times if Congress passed a bill making it permanent nationwide. Several GOP lawmakers cheered the bill, including congressmen from Florida who said their constituents wanted the change. Politicians from the coast have generally pushed for year-round daylight saving times, given that their time zones would allow them to enjoy longer, sunnier days. You know, I'm kind of torn on this because I tell you, when we're in the time frame now and it's 10 o'clock and it's light outside. I was just thinking about this last night. It's like when it was 9:30 and you're taking the dog for a walk. It's like, man, this is nice. I really like these long days. And you wouldn't get as long a day. So I mean, it's although going back into winter when it gets dark at 2:30, you wouldn't have that as well. So what do you think, Mike? What would you do?
Yeah, as much as it is nice this time of year, I don't think I would trade it for the exchange. Like it is a tough adjustment. Like I feel like my sleep schedule is still screwy from the last time that we adjusted. Keep it all the same.
Yeah. Friends, what do you guys think? Let us know. Yay or nay on this change. 888-973-5476. 888-973-5476. Is this a good thing or no? Tim Gatos in for John Curley on the John Curley Show. Let's check in with Nate at the real-time traffic desk. What's up, Nate?
Hey, Tim. Linwood to Seattle, 50-minute drive. We got a parking lot starting in Northgate Way all the way to the convention center. Everett to Marysville has got a half-hour commute ahead of you. It's bumper to bumper from the Boeing Freeway up to 528. Also, northbound 529, your optional choice is packed from Everett to Marysville. Tacoma to Olympia has improved. We're down to an hour, 20 minutes, down from an hour and a half. It's packed now from Bridgeport Way past the JBLM main gate. Still slow between Lacey and Olympia. If you're heading east of the mountains, eastbound 90, it's bumper to bumper from Snoqualmie Summit along the entire stretch of Ketchless Lake, and then you'll start to thin out, but it's scattered backups from there into Easton. All added up, we've got over a 1 hour delay between North Bend and Ellensburg. It's taken 2 hours and 20 minutes to make that trip. On the water, the Mukilteo Ferry Terminal, 2 hour wait for drivers. Edmonds has a 90-minute wait for drivers, and the Point Defiance Terminal, a 1 hour wait for drivers. KIRO News Radio real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, where you turn for the news you depend on.
KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey is here with more.
24% of businesses are now thinking about leaving Washington.
Traffic.
We are definitely seeing some slowing through the S-curves.
Conversation.
We build it, we produce it, we charge for it.
And your Super Bowl champion Seahawks.
A one-hander! Are you kidding me?
Broadcasting live from the KIRO News Radio YouTube channel. KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter. The NBA playoffs are underway, and now you can trade every game on Kalshi. You can also trade on who wins each series, the conference finals, and the championship. San Antonio is currently trading at 19% to win it all, meaning a $100 trade pays out over $500 if they take the title. On Kalshi, you're trading against other people in a live market. No house, no odds makers. And as odds move, you can buy in or out anytime throughout the postseason. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code PASS to get $10 when you trade $10. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Healthcare costs are rising, and a major driver is hospital prices. They've increased more than 250% over the past 25 years. Families and local businesses are feeling it. At Primera Blue Cross, we're working to change that by negotiating with hospitals to secure fair, responsible prices so you can get the care you need at a cost you can afford. That's coverage that counts. Learn more at coveragethatcounts.primera.com.
It started as a puddle.
Where?
In the shower.
Uh-oh.
Then the kitchen sink.
Started backing up?
Yeah.
I know where this is going.
Clogged up.
Right. No problem.
Beg your pardon?
There's no clog we can't clear.
You're Dan.
From Apollo Plumbing.
This is going to get pricey.
How about $83?
To clear my drain?
Apollo Plumbing clears main drains every day.
For $83?
83 or it's free.
What's the catch?
No catch. We'll even do a camera inspection.
Why's that?
It's the best way to find the cause of your clog.
And it's included?
No extra charge. Truth is, we hate clogs.
I don't love them.
Seen them all.
Ew.
I promise. There's no clog Apollo can't clear.
Guaranteed.
83 or free.
Goodbye, slow drains.
All it takes is an accessible clean out.
And Apollo gets my drains draining again.
You call, we come, it's fixed.
My heroes.
Just doing our job.
Thank you, Apollo Plumbing.
ApolloPlumbing.com.
KIRO News Radio.
Get on the YouTube channel.
We're live all day on YouTube. Every show, every day.
Hang out with us. The whole gang's there.
And you never know what you might see.
Back up the camera. Oh, my God.
Just search KIRO News Radio, then subscribe.
Wait! Before you change the station, listen to this.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KIRS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Pickup is quick and easy. You'll also get a vacation voucher and a tax deduction.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Nearly half the homes in Western Washington are not properly insulated or not insulated at all. Sound like your home? Then call for your free inspection.
InsulationNorthwest.com. Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Tulsi Gabbard says she's resigning from her position as Director of National Intelligence, citing her husband's cancer diagnosis. ABC's Selena White.
The timing here is also notable because it comes shortly after Joe Kent, who is the National Counterterrorism Center Director, resigned over the Iran war, and Joe Kent was a close ally of Tulsi Gabbard.
More than a dozen people injured, including firefighters, after a major explosion and fire at a Staten Island, New York shipyard. At least 16 people hospitalized. And thousands of Orange County, California residents are under evacuation orders after officials warned a massive storage tank leaking hazardous materials could rupture or explode. Problems minutes after the massive Starship Flight 12 test mission launched from Starbase, Texas this evening. The engines of the Super Heavy booster shut down prematurely, and that will prevent Mission Control from being able to guide it to the planned location where it will come down in the Gulf. This is ABC News. ABC News has obtained a new 911 call that could shed light on the death of NASCAR champion Kyle Busch. ABC's Alex Stone.
2 weeks ago, he was heard on the radio, on the racing radio, calling for a doctor during a race in New York. And race announcers said it was a sinus infection. But then at the GM Training Center this week, he became ill. And just reading from the 911 call, the caller saying, I have an individual that's shortness of breath, very hot. He's about to pass out. He's producing a little bit of blood and coughing up some of that blood. And the ambulance came at that point. He went to the hospital, his family saying it was a serious illness, and then he died.
In a setback for federal prosecutors, a federal judge today dismissed human smuggling charges against Kilmar Abrego Garcia. U.S. District Judge Waverly Crenshaw found that the Justice Department's prosecution was designed to punish him for challenging his mistaken deportation to El Salvador last year. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Coming up, a cold case arrest in Renton. That's after Nate Connors at the real-time traffic desk.
Thank you, Aaron. Linwood to Seattle. We're quickly improving from our last report. We've shaved off 10 minutes. We're down to 40 minutes. It is still thick in Northgate down to Mercer. Seattle to Everett, 40 minutes. Bellevue to Everett, about the same at 45 minutes as these routes are starting to thin down as well. Everett to Marysville, holding steady at a half-hour drive. It is bumper to bumper from that Boeing freeway up to 528. And if you're thinking about heading to 529 as an alternate route, that is past packed as well between Everett and Marysville. Tacoma to Olympia, we're at an hour 20. It's packed at Bridgeport Way. Past the JBLM main gate, you'll get you a little break, and then we're still crowded again between Lacey and Olympia. If you're heading east of the mountains, eastbound 90 is really struggling starting at Snoqualmie Summit. It is bumper to bumper from the summit along the entire stretch of Ketchless Lake, and then once you get to the end of the lake, it starts to thin out, but it's still scattered backups into Easton, so it's a 1 hour delay right now between North Bend and Ellensburg, taking 2 hours and 20 minutes. And Folk Life is underway at Seattle Center, bringing added volume to downtown Seattle. This runs through Monday. This report brought to you by Bucky's Complete Auto Care. For 50 years, Bucky's Complete Auto has earned local trust with honest pricing and guaranteed repairs. That's why they're Carfax preferred. No gimmicks, just great service. Bucky's.com. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good evening. I'm Aaron Granillo. Renton police arrest a murder suspect after he was on the run for 6 years. Investigators say 26-year-old O'Shea Williams was tracked down just last night. Renton PD's Megan Black says officers arrested Williams after a short chase on foot.
Over the years, detectives never really let these things go. Over the course of several weeks, he was able to develop some information that Williams was still in the area.
He was wanted in the shooting death of a 21-year-old back in 2020. Williams is now charged with first-degree murder. A loose leopard is back in her habitat at the Point Defiance Zoo in Tacoma. KIRO 7 TV's El Thomas reports 11-year-old Orchid escaped her enclosure earlier today.
She is a clouded leopard, and apparently she went missing for a little bit today. Point Defiance posting on Facebook saying she was part of a Wild Wonders outdoor theater show at 11:30 this morning. Didn't go back in. Posted another update saying, don't worry, no one was hurt. We got her. Well, instead, the zoo says she climbed up a tree behind the theater near their perimeter fencing. So they had to shut down the pathways in the front of the theater around 2:30. Yep, they got her. They said no one was hurt.
Gas prices this Memorial Day weekend way up from last year, about $6 for a gallon of regular here in the Seattle area, nearly $1.50 more than last year.
Gas prices will decline through the weekend before potentially jumping again early next week.
That is Patrick DeHaan with GasBuddy.com. Seattle police say they are prepared for World Cup security despite staffing limits on the force. Here's KIRO Radio's Frank Lindsay.
The department lists 861 fully deployable patrol officers. SPD says it will have enough officers to handle the security requirements of the World Cup. Seattle Police Officers Guild President Kent Liu tells the Jason Ranch Show on Seattle Red 770 AM, yes, they will have enough people to keep the event safe, but
some of our big challenges are going to be King County Jail, honestly, and kind of having a place to take people and kind of clean up these streets.
Up to 750,000 visitors are expected during the World Cup. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
And now your forecast for this holiday weekend. Looking at sunny skies right now, more sunshine tomorrow, increasing clouds on Sunday with highs in the low 70s, and then we're back to rain on Monday with a high of about 59 degrees. Right now, 75 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
And we are back here, KIRO News Radio. Tim Gatos in for John Curley today. Thanks so much for tuning in on this beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. Well, it feels a few years ago, the COVID nightmare feels like 10 lifetimes ago in some ways, but so many lessons that we need to learn and hold with us and take into the future. During that time, one of the most prominent voices was Alex Berenson. Alex gained a very significant following across our country. On Twitter, he criticized the public policy response to COVID-19, challenged the conventional wisdom of the safety and efficacy of the vaccines. Longtime New York Times reporter, best-selling author, and now independent journalist Alex Berenson scored a huge victory for free speech last week. He settled a lawsuit against the federal government and an acknowledgement from the government that they did, in fact, violate his First Amendment by exerting, quote, substantial coercive pressure on social media companies such as Twitter, to suppress disfavored speech. He was banned from Twitter during those times from sharing important information that we all needed during that time. And joining us right now, Alex Berenson. Alex, welcome to the program.
Well, Tim, thanks for having me on.
Well, congratulations. This is obviously this is one victory that you have, and probably more to come. But can you share your reaction as you settled this and gained just a huge victory here?
Sure. So I wrote about this on my Substack, my Unreported Truth Substack, just after it happened. But I'd been negotiating, my lawyer and I had been negotiating with the government for a while, and even though people think, well, it's the Trump administration, they'll be happy to settle a case, that was brought against the Biden administration. That's not really true, right? I'm not Michael Flynn. I'm not somebody who was in the Trump White House. And if you look at what I write, I certainly was very, very critical of Joe Biden, but I've been critical of Donald Trump too. And so they didn't necessarily want to settle this case. And I think that eventually they looked at our evidence and what we had brought, and they decided to settle it. And as part of the settlement, I got a substantial payment, not in the millions of dollars, but $150,000, which is real money and was important to me. But what was really important to me, and what I was not going to settle unless they agreed to, was that they did agree to this line about how they put pressure on what was Twitter at the time to ban me. And I think I think it's important to have that in the record going forward. And I knew, that places in the legacy media and the liberal media were not going to cover this. They haven't. But nonetheless, I've been on some conservative outlets, and more importantly, going forward, this is part of history. This is an admission, and I think, I hope in 10 years when somebody, nonpartisan, finally writes a real history of COVID, this will be part of it. And I want one other thing, and then you can ask whatever you like. Obviously, the public health establishment has learned nothing, right? Because what have they spent, and the legacy media has learned nothing, because they've spent the last month or so trying to scare people about hantavirus, which has clearly turned out to be a big nothing burger. And now they're trying to scare people about Ebola, and look, Ebola is a terrible disease. You don't want to get it, but the odds that it's like a public health crisis in the United States anytime ever, are basically zero. But, these people, they have a playbook. That playbook involves scaring the public, and they can't seem to stop doing it. And so whenever they do it, there's going to be pressure to shut things down. And, right now we're a long way from any of that, but it will happen again.
Alex, what have you, I guess from a 30,000 foot view, I mean, you've been through a lot in this process and you've learned a lot. What's the big takeaway for you as you've battled the government? You're talking about the tactics that the government has. You've seen things that the kind of the us normal people that we don't see. And what's kind of your big takeaway that as you walk away from this whole process that has maybe transformed you or changed you?
So this is a great question. A couple things. And one is I'm still pursuing this lawsuit against Pfizer, against two very senior Pfizer officials, because they were part of this effort, the successful effort in 2021 to censor me. And I've certainly seen the power that pharma has, that big pharma has. And, this is something that has not gone away. The FDA commissioner resigned essentially under pressure, less than a month ago because he had gotten too far sideways with pharma. And so I think, whatever you think of President Trump, I think we can all agree he hasn't done enough to take on entrenched corporate interests in the last year. And maybe that's just impossible. Maybe that's just our system right now. But that's been disappointing to me, I would say. And so seeing that Pfizer actually did get involved in this effort to censor me, I wouldn't say it's radicalized me, but it's it's surprising or not even surprising. It's disappointing to me, and it's evidence of how the system really works.
It's one of you mentioned kind of the fear tactics, and it's one of the things I've seen here, and I've noted this, in Seattle in particular, where in a lot of the, the articles and interviews that I read here in, our main paper, Seattle Times, and people talk about being scared, and we need to do things because I'm scared for this or I'm fearful for this. And I've been talking about this for a few years of how so much of how we respond and how much of our policy is based around, people either being scared or these fear tactics. And of course, if you're running a family or you're running a business, you're not going to use emotion the way that we use emotion to set policies and to set our lives. What have you seen around that, and how do we move forward when it comes to scared and fear tactics?
I mean, another great question. I think this reminds me of something that I actually haven't thought of in a couple of years, since we were in the middle of COVID and in the middle of the 2021 with the vaccines. I would say to people, and I think this is true, I used to think that love or hate were the strongest emotions, but they're not. Fear is the strongest emotion. And if you can frighten people, you can control them and get them essentially to do what you like. And I mean, that was 100% what happened during COVID. And to some extent, I don't know what the answer to that is, except that we all, hopefully, the next time somebody comes to us, and by the way, I was in New York after September 11th. Okay, so that was sort of another example of fear, right? Fear leading to policies that ultimately, I think most people would say, were an overreaction and were harmful to our civil liberties and got us involved in wars that certainly didn't go as we expected. And COVID was sort of the next example of that. So it's so important at the moment when something bad is happening that you don't panic. That yes, you need to respond, but that you don't panic. And I just hope we can all, again, on the left and the right, think about that. And again, my Substack is not super partisan. Unreported Truth is not super partisan, but I do think like if I could be emperor for a day, that would be the one thing I try to convince people: don't panic. Yeah.
Have you seen people try to minimize, what you've said by essentially saying, "Oh, Alex, he's just, he's kind of a right wing, commentator," and try to essentially sideline you, even though from what I know of you, you're fairly judicious. You're not connected to either the Republican or Democrat Party, but have you seen that play out?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's absolutely how it's played out, and it's played out with this settlement too. I'm suing a giant pharmaceutical company. That's not exactly a right-wing move, right? But no one on the left, they won't even cover the settlement. They wouldn't cover the lawsuit. They wouldn't cover the settlement. And if I beat Pfizer, I've talked to my lawyer who's very good about this. If I beat Pfizer, it will be really interesting to see if I get any coverage, but I probably won't. So their tactic on, whether it's at the New York Times, and remember, I worked at the New York Times for a long time. They know I'm a good reporter. They just don't like me ideologically anymore. Fortunately, Substack is out there, Unreported Truth is out there, so I get to say what I think. But this cone of silence that the left still puts on views that it doesn't like is incredibly frustrating to me.
How does this is more of a philosophical question, but I mean, certainly I have my thoughts and my views about things, but at the end of the day, the most important thing to me is truth. And I want to know the truth. I don't want to be lied to. And if I'm following someone who I like, who's on the right, and they're lying to me, oh my goodness, like I don't want to have any of that, and I want to know the truth because that's the most important thing to me. Why do you think we can't live like that in our society, and why is that happening? What you're talking about on the left.
I think, and I do think it's worse on the left than on the right, although the right certainly, has some people who are not telling the truth a lot these days. But I think on the left, there is this high-handedness and an inability to be challenged when you're challenged on the left, you just think, oh, I'm smarter than that person, because that's what they've been telling themselves now for 50 years. And so that's one reason they didn't like me, is because I came out of the New York Times. It was hard for them to just dismiss me. But I think the other thing, I think this is a real problem on both sides, is the siloing that social media creates. And I don't know how we fix that, because if you're running X or you're running Facebook, you want people on there for as long as possible. The way you do that is by building engagement. And the way it turns out, people like to hear from, people who have the same views. So there is this natural siloing that goes on, and I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah. We're talking a longtime New York Times reporter and independent journalist, Alex Berenson, who just won a significant First Amendment victory against the federal government. Alex, have you had anyone, reach back out to you who maybe just said, I don't want anything to do with Alex, who just said, you know what, Alex, I'm sorry. You were right. I apologize. And you were right. Have you seen much of that?
Very, very little. And, I would say in the last 5 years, fewer than 5 people who cut me off have done that. And I'm like pretty forgiving. There's one person who I wouldn't forgive, an old friend of mine, because he actively cut me off, even though I said to him, you know what, if we don't want to talk about politics at all, that's fine with me. And even if you don't want to talk to me, let's have our families be friends. And that was not good enough for him. So that's one person who I could not forgive. But in general, if there was somebody in 2020 or 2021 who even now would come to me and say, hey, you know what, like, you were kind of right about some of this stuff. Can we just forget about it? Let's be friends again. I'd be pretty okay with that. But it hasn't happened. It's pretty stunning to me that it hasn't happened.
And you weren't coming from a place of position when you were doing this, right? You weren't compelled because, like, well, my employer, and because of kind of my ideological position and kind of the tribe that I'm part of. No, like I'm gonna get all these kudos from my tribe. You were coming from, tell us the kind of the place that you came from in this.
I mean, I was coming from a place where listen, this is old news now, right? So it's almost not worth going into, but famously, I was looking at data in March of 2020, okay, and saying some of this stuff just does not add up. And it looks like the risk here that COVID poses is to really old people. And really by early April, I was saying, like, well, then why are we closing the schools if that's the case? And it sort of all started there and snowballed. And I was a New York Times reporter for 10 years. I've been a reporter basically my whole adult life. I'm not a naive person, but I was naive about this. Because I remember thinking, there will be an argument about the merits here, and the schools will reopen. The good guys will win, because we're not going to want to stuff our kids at home for a year or two. And it turned out that was wrong. It turned out that particularly in states like Washington and New York and California, the teachers' unions were just too powerful. They liked getting paid to do nothing, and that's what they did. I mean, at least, maybe not all their members, but enough of them that was the dynamic.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, sort of in the fall of 2020, realizing the schools just aren't going to open.
Yeah. What's next with Pfizer, Alex? What's the step here, and what do you think? What kind of impact do you think this can have if you beat Pfizer with this?
If I beat Pfizer, it will be very big. Now, that's not going to be easy. They have very good lawyers. And the reason it will be very big is there's a big constitutional question, or a big civil rights question. And the question is this: should people who are unvaccinated be considered a class under federal law where if their rights are violated, they should have the right to sue? And right now, it's not clear the answer to that question is yes. So my argument in this case is that the First Amendment rights, not just my First Amendment rights, but the First Amendment rights of everybody who was unvaccinated against COVID in 2021, who wanted to listen to me and couldn't because I was kicked off Twitter, that my rights were violated and their rights were violated, and that the federal court in New York should allow me to bring that claim. And Pfizer says basically, nope, no good. Unvaccinated people don't have any rights in that way. And that's what the court's going to have to decide. If they decide on my side, I have tons of evidence, but the question is, will the law allow me to bring this case or allow the suit to move forward?
Yeah.
So we will find out.
Well, we will be following it and can't wait to hopefully we can talk again and see what happens with this case. And in the meantime, where can folks, I mean, I'm telling you, you got to check out Alex's Substack. I love reading it. Alex, where can people find it?
Sure. It's alexberenson.substack.com. It's called Unreported Truths. You can also follow me on Twitter. Here's what I'll say. You probably won't agree with everything that I say, and sometimes I might annoy you, but I'm just trying to do my job.
Alex, so great to talk to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Tim, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Tim Gatos in for John Curley on the John Curley Show. Let's toss it over to Nate, the real-time traffic desk.
All right, Harnish Auto Family has the update. Maple Valley, we've got a collision northbound on the Maple Valley Highway, just north of State Route 18. So it's blocking the northbound lane. You can't get past right now. Southbound drivers are able to just squeeze by there on the shoulder. Speaking of State Route 18, we're now looking good over Tiger Mountain. Tacoma to Olympia at hour 15 minutes as we slowly improve with every report now. South 5 still heavy from Bridgeport down past the JBLM main gate, and then more slowing between Lacey and Olympia. Federal Way, South 5 slows from State Route 18 into Tacoma. Federal Way to Tacoma just under 20 minutes. Here in Seattle, North 5, we've got scattered backups from the West Seattle Bridge to the Ship Canal, but big clearing through the heart of downtown. So just 25 minutes through downtown right now. Crossing the lake from Bellevue, 20 to 25 minutes on both bridge routes. So westbound 90 is heavy across the lake over to I-5. Westbound 520 jams up right there at Montlake. Everett to Marysville, still a half hour, and we're still packed starting just past the Boeing Freeway now into Marysville. Northbound 529 has pretty much cleared out. The Harnish Auto Family Super Sale through May 31st. Exclusive deals, zero down, and no payments all summer on approval of credit. In Puyallup and Everett, Harnish Auto Family, people matter. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, the first place you turn for the news you trust.
Renton police investigating a shooting that happened just after midnight.
Engaging conversation.
It's just indefensible. The mayor's communications team should be better.
Traffic.
A full closure now, southbound 509 at Alexander Avenue.
And your Super Bowl champion Seahawks.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
Streaming everywhere on the KIRO News Radio app. Always here, always with you. KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM.
Memorial Day weekend. You know what that means.
No work on Monday.
And the start of the summer season.
With all the summer sales this weekend. Look at all these ads.
I know, but there is one store we really should visit.
Why?
To check out the new TVs from Samsung and LG and Sony.
Aren't those expensive?
Not this weekend. Video Only has huge deals on the new models and even trade-in discounts.
What about online or the warehouse clubs?
We can do better at Video Only. They've got the lowest prices of the year on the new TVs, including all the top-rated models.
Okay, let's check them out. Or
we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or dishwashers, but you will find the best deals on the best TVs, soundbars, and home theater systems. Shop around, but then make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In South Center, Bellevue, Linwood, Federal Way, and Tacoma. Video Only.
Summer's supposed to be fun. When the kids are home all day, the groceries, they add up fast. G. Scott here with a quick heads up from Safeway. There's a program called Sunbucks that gives qualifying families $120 per child for summer groceries. Some families are signed up automatically and will get a card in the mail. Others need to apply. Take a minute to check. It could really help put food on the table for your family. Head to freesummermeals.org to find out more. That's freesummermeals.org.
Hartley here from Wilcox Farms. For over 100 years, my family's been committed to doing what's right. At Wilcox Family Farms, that means caring for our hens with healthy pasture environments and a diet of organic grains and flax seeds. It's how we produce eggs that are wholesome, flavorful, and good for you. Next time you're at an egg case in your local store, we hope you feel good about choosing Wilcox eggs. Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
Your medication for enlarged prostate is working. That's what you tell yourself. You're up 3 times a night instead of 5. The urgency is manageable. The stream's not great, but it's fine. That's the problem. Fine. Enlarged prostate, or BPH, doesn't pause because the medication takes the edge off. The prostate keeps growing. The bladder keeps working harder. And over time, those changes can be harder to reverse. But surgery? Not for you, right? Aquablation is not the surgery you're picturing. It's the only ultrasound-guided, robotic-assisted therapy for enlarged prostate. Don't wait until things become unbearable. Find an Aquablation urologist near you. Call Aquablation Seattle at 206-666-2466. 206-666-2466. That's 206-666-2466. All surgical treatments carry risks and results may vary. Side effects may include urinary symptoms, mild pain, ejaculatory dysfunction, or infection. In rare cases, complications to the urethra and rectum may occur. Aquablation therapy may not be right for everyone. Talk to your urologist to learn more. Visit aquablationseattle.com.
Running a small business means juggling a lot. Your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You need a partner who gives you a greater advantage. Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A first-ever combination of the largest, fastest fiber-powered network, the most reliable Wi-Fi, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. Plus, it's all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A new standard for small business with reliability, security, and savings in one. Switch today. Get started with a great offer as low as $60 a month. When you add it all up, no one does business like Comcast Business.
Offer ends 6/1/26. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet and security edge. 1-year agreement, eco-bill, and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now that Wendy's has these new biggie deals, everyone in the family can get what they're craving, from nugs to JBCs. The parental units can get an $8 biggie bundle, the eldest who think they're so grown can get a $6 biggie bag, and the little one who can do no wrong can get a $4 biggie bites. You know, assuming they have a credit card. No, I'm kidding. We take cash too. 4, $6, and $8 biggie deals for the whole family. Only at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
Support comes from Amazon Business. You can't rely on guesswork to run your business. With smart business buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience, paired with delivery options built for business. Empower your team today. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Hey, good evening. I'm Aaron Granello. Another shakeup in the president's cabinet as the U.S. Director of National Intelligence announces she's stepping down. Tulsi Gabbard says she's resigning, citing her husband's health. ABC's Christiane Cordero has more.
In her resignation letter, Gabbard shares her husband was recently diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer, saying she's stepping away from public service to be by his side. President Trump reacted on social media, posting in part, quote, "Tulsi has done an incredible job, and we will miss her." In recent months, Gabbard and the Trump administration appeared out of sync, sending mixed messages ahead of the war with Iran. Gabbard is now the 4th cabinet member to leave the administration in 3 months. Her last day will be the end of June. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
The U.S. Undersecretary of Energy is warning against limiting AI data centers in Seattle. Alex Fitzsimmons, speaking to the Jason Ranch Show on Seattle Red, argues that allowing companies to build data centers is a positive investment.
Training, high-skilled jobs, curricula, like real jobs, not like liberal arts fantasy land.
Seattle City Council is considering a 1-year moratorium on those data centers. Supporters are concerned they would drain the local power supply and drive up energy prices. It's the last summer for Wild Waves in Federal Way. KIRO News Radio's Manufactor reports park opens tomorrow for its 50th and final season.
Wild Waves has been struggling financially since the pandemic. Director of Sales and Marketing Weston Petrie says they've lost millions of dollars and the cost to keep running just keep climbing. He says they're going out with a bang.
We're celebrating. It's all wrapping up, but it's been a staple in the community forever.
Dive-in movies, foam parties, a Hispanic cultural festival, and 21 and overnights are all on the calendar. Fright Fest in November will be the last event before Wild Waves closes its doors for good. Manda Factor, KIRO News Radio.
Heads up if you're heading to Mount Rainier. The park says part of the Wonderland Trail is temporarily closed. This is due to unusual bear activity. The closure runs between Narada Falls Trail and Stevens Canyon Road. Now to the real-time traffic desk. It's 5:33. Let's go to Nate Connors.
Thank you, Aaron. You know what they say, if the bear is brown, lay down, but if it is black, you better fight back.
Attaboy, Nate.
All right, Maple Valley, we've got a collision northbound on the Maple Valley Highway, just north of State Route 18. So your northbound lane is blocked. It cannot get past. Southbound drivers are able to squeeze by on the shoulder. You'll want to avoid that stretch of State Route 169 for the time being. Tacoma to Olympia, we're down to an hour 10. Still solid, though, heading through JBLM between Gravity Lake Drive and the main gate. And then we're still scattered slowing between Lacey and Olympia. Here in Seattle, North 5, scattered backups from the West Seattle Bridge to the Ship Canal Bridge. Only 25 minutes now to get through downtown. South 5 heading into Seattle is still packed from Northgate to the Convention Center. It's a 40-minute trip from Linwood into downtown. Crossing the lake from Bellevue to Seattle, 20 to 25 minutes on both bridge routes. Again, westbound 90, we're stop and go across the lake over to I-5. Westbound 520, you're looking good. You're going to jam up right there in Montlake Boulevard. Everett to Marysville is going to take you a half hour. It is solid just past 526 up to 529. And again, northbound 529 has cleared out. Text app APP to 888-973-5476 to download the KIRO News Radio app, listen to your favorite shows, and get the latest news and updates sent straight to your phone. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Clear skies tonight, some morning clouds tomorrow, followed by afternoon sunshine. Same thing for Sunday, then rainy, breezy, and cool weather for Memorial Day. Right now, 75 and sunny in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This hour brought to you by Wilcox Family Farm Eggs. Welcome back to the John Curley Show. Tim Gatos in for John Curley today. Thanks for tuning in. We've been having a great time. Mike Cyber, who's been producing. Man, I tell you what, this Friday before Memorial Day weekend is just we're just excited. There's a lot going on. This weekend's going to be phenomenal. We got the folk life. The new Michael Jackson movie's coming out. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on.
You just can't see it at the Boeing IMAX, though.
Yeah, that's right. Can't see it at the IMAX. Hey, yesterday, Jeff Bezos, he did a fascinating interview with CNBC. You don't see a lot of interviews with Bezos often, and people have a lot of feelings about him, especially around here. Some people think he's a villain. I don't know him personally. I did meet him once at the bar at Wild Ginger 15 years ago, a long time ago. Actually, maybe longer than that. But, he did a fascinating interview talking about a number of, economic issues that I think are very, important here for us and how we look at problems and how we look at issues. And, in a lot of ways we have leaders come in, politicians and look at people or companies or businesses and say, oh man, they're the problem or there's the issue. And yet how do we go about fixing the issues that we see? Here's a little bit of this clip from his interview.
So you would pay rent, groceries, and so what's happening here is politicians are using the kind of age-old technique. So there's this tale of two economies, and they're using this age-old technique of picking a villain and pointing fingers. But the problem is that doesn't solve anything. And so, if you want to help the group of people who are struggling, you have to figure out real root causes and solutions, and that takes skill. It's If we have a problem at Amazon, the way we would fix it is we would go in and we'd do the 5 whys and we'd try to get to a root cause. We'd try to find a root fix. And then when we fix it at the root, you're fixing it forever. It's a real solution. And what we don't do, because it doesn't work, is just point fingers and blame people. It might feel good for 10 seconds, but doesn't accomplish anything. And so what could you really do?
That's, I think, just such an important point, and we see this play out all the time. It's like, how do we go about fixing issues and fixing problems? And I always thought it was interesting. You think about, he brought up this concept of villain, right? And of course, a lot of, as I mentioned, a lot of people have these feelings about Bezos. He's an oligarch, or something like that, right? And when you look at, again, what Bezos has done when he moved out to Seattle and started Amazon in a garage, and the sheer ecosystem that's developed, with the number of jobs in so many different areas that has impacted people in a positive way, impacted our region in a positive way. And with anything, there's going to be negatives, right? I mean, there's always going to be like the gifts that we have, like the strengths we have are also can be weaknesses, right? And so in the same way, like the gifts or strengths that Amazon brought are going to obviously have weaknesses, just like they will do for anything. But the reality that somehow, Bezos is this kind of villain in Seattle, and you compare what he's done, and I put this, I juxtapose this to, let's say, a Bernie Sanders, right? Like Bernie, who's like, oh man, he's this hero, right? He's the working man's hero, so to speak, right? And if you put those two guys up together, Bernie, who's considered a hero, Bezos, who's considered this kind of villain character, and it's like you look at what the two of them have done for society. Why is one the hero and one is the villain? I think they need to switch those out, because, I mean, I'm sure Bernie Sanders is a nice guy, but what has he created? What has he done what has he produced? What has he started? How many people has he employed? He's obviously taken money from taxpayers and sent that out, but he hasn't produced or created anything. And yet here's a guy who has created hundreds of thousands, millions of jobs, and allowed families, put food on the plate for families. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. I don't know, Mike, if you've thought about it in that way before, but
well, I was going to say let's take that a step further. One of the critical pieces of this interview and these quotes from Jeff Bezos, a quote that really struck a chord with you is about leadership. And Bezos says, most leaders blame, but the best ones diagnose. What is Bernie Sanders diagnosing?
Yeah.
A lot of blame, but we got to tax the billionaires. They got to pay their fair share. Meanwhile, what's in Bernie Sanders' wallet?
Yeah.
How about him paying his fair share? That doesn't seem to come up in these conversations, but yet Jeff Bezos, he's a James Bond supervillain.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing about so many of these kind of modern day politicians here in Seattle who have, they haven't had the burden of starting a company and paying their staff, knowing that their staff has got to feed their children. And I mean, all these kind of things, like, and it's, why is it that so many of our modern day politicians, they get to go right into, essentially legislating how we should be living and what we should do and how much we should be getting taxed, when they have really not much life experience, which is unique because what's one of the terms that is like the buzz term of our day, like lived experience, right? Like, oh man, everyone's got to have lived experience. And yet our politicians, our current mayor, our former King County executive, probably our current King County executive, none of them have lived experience when it comes to, overseeing, obviously obviously a city, but in terms of like the business climate, which you have to have, a thriving business economy for a city to do well. So that's pretty interesting to me. Yeah, I don't know if it is to you. Let us know, 888-973-5476. Let us know before we hit out of here in a little bit what you think about that. Tim Gatos in for John Curley on the John Curley Show. Let's check in with Nate at the Real-Time Traffic Desk. What's up, Nate?
Tim. Well, it's slowly starting to thin down out there finally, Tim. Seattle Sports has our update. Maple Valley, though, we still have this collision northbound on the Maple Valley Highway just north of State Route 18. So your northbound lane is fully blocked. You cannot get past this. Southbound drivers are able to squeeze by on the shoulder. Again, you want to avoid State Route 169 in this section for a while if you can. Tacoma to Olympia, still about an hour, 10 minutes. South 5 is packed from Gravelly Lake Drive to the JBLM main gate. More scattered slowing from Lacey into Olympia. In Bellevue, South 405, just past 520, we've got a new crash blocking your left general purpose lane. In Seattle, South 5 is packed from Northgate to the Convention Center. Really heavy here, 40 minutes from Linwood to Seattle. Everett to Marysville, still a half hour. We're slow North 5 just past 526, and that continues to 528. At Highway 2, it gets real thick. And now northbound 529 is once again packed between Everett and Marysville as drivers ditch that I-5 backup. Eastbound 2, scattered backups between Monroe and Sultan. Search Seattle Sports on YouTube and click subscribe to get fresh video content daily. KIRO News Radio Real-Time Traffic, I'm Nate Connors.
Choke Points with Chris Sullivan.
With Choke Points, we try to answer listeners' questions. It can be as simple as a neighborhood stop sign, or it can be as big as the budget for transportation. I don't care. I'll find the answer for you. It's really easy to get a hold of me at mynorthwest.com. We have a direct link there that gets right to me. You can also do it in the app. You can hit me up on the text line.
Choke Points, presented by Carter Subaru. Tuesdays and Thursdays on KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we know you're no stranger to setting big goals, whether in school, at work, or in life, and you're ready for more. At UMGC, we offer the skills-based education you need to move your career forward. Learn how to apply AI, data science, and other emerging tech, plus gain skills in leadership and critical thinking. You've come far. Succeed again. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
Welcome to this week's Puget Sound Express Whale Report. Naturalists from Puget Sound Express report that it's officially humpback whale season in the Salish Sea. Humpbacks were absent from our waters for nearly 100 years due to whaling. In 1997, a female humpback returned, and in 2003, she brought a calf with her, which is when she earned the name Big Mama. She has kept returning along with 8 known calves, 7 grand calves, and 4 great grand calves, and she's back this year as well. Each summer, dozens of other humpbacks return. It's become known as the Humpback Comeback. Family-run Puget Sound Express offers daily guaranteed whale watching tours departing from Edmonds, Seattle's most popular and well-reviewed whale tours. Orcas, humpbacks, gray whales, minke whales, and so much more. Don't miss out on your chance to see whales in the wild. Family-run Puget Sound Express guarantees you'll see whales or your next trip is absolutely free. Book online at PugetSoundExpress.com.
The Harnish Auto Family Super Sale is happening right now. The cost of living has gone up, but when buying a car, it doesn't have to feel like it. Zero Down delivers, no payments all summer, and exclusive 10-day deals in partnership with Tapco Credit Union. With a wide selection of new vehicles and over 400 used vehicles across 5 dealerships, you'll find just what you're looking for. Visit Subaru, Volkswagen, and Chevy Buick GMC of Puyallup or Kia and Chevy of Everett. Harnish Auto Family. People matter.
Offers available OAC on select models. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just help make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check from Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires, including all-terrain, highway, all-season, and all-weather. So go ahead, Explore with confidence. Les Schwab Tires. We're here to help you take the long way. Limited time offer while supplies last. See leschwab.com/sale for details.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
Memorial Day weekend. You know what that means.
No work on Monday.
And the start of the summer season.
With all the summer sales this weekend. Look at all these ads.
I know, but there is one store we really should visit.
Why?
To check out the new TVs from Samsung and LG and Sony.
Aren't those expensive?
Not this weekend. Video Only has huge deals on the new models and even trade-in discounts.
What about online or the warehouse clubs?
We can do better at Video Only. They've got the lowest prices of the year on the new TVs, including all the top-rated models.
Okay, let's check them out. Or
we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or dishwashers, but you will find the best deals on the best TVs, soundbars, and home theater systems. Shop around, but then make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In South Center, Bellevue, Linwood, Federal Way, and Tacoma, Video Only.
Healthcare costs are rising, and a major driver is hospital prices. They've increased more than 250% over the past 25 years. Families and local businesses are feeling it. At Primera Blue Cross, we're working to change that by negotiating with hospitals to secure fair, responsible prices so you can get the care you need at a cost you can afford. That's coverage that counts. Learn more at coveragethatcounts.primera.com.
Best Mortgage is proud to be the longest-running mortgage company on KIRO Radio. For 34 years, they've been giving honest advice you can trust as your VA loan and reverse mortgage experts and debt consolidation specialists, too. Just web search Best Mortgage.
The John Curley Show mailbag is brought to you by Advanced Hair Restoration.
We are back here. John Curley Show. Tim Gatos. Been having fun with you in for John today. And Andrew mentioned that there's a little knock on the door, and I think we got someone coming in.
On the mailman to be mess with me. On the mailman. Everything new on the mailman. Bring the mail to you.
All right. Hey, thanks for the mail today. We got Martin in Linwood who said, middle class is having a second refrigerator. Upper middle class is the second one in the garage that has French doors with a bottom drawer freezer. Nice. Nice, Martin.
That's a great analogy. I love that. From the 425, we need to elect people with different approaches.
Yeah. Greg from Gig Harbor says, go back and grab Hillary Clinton's rant on illegal immigration from only 2015.
Mm-hmm. And that was in reference to our Democrats in the 90s, how it would be so unrecognizable to the current party now. Todd in Puyallup writes, my liberal friend says the pushback on ICE today is because of how they're deporting and rounding up, not that they are.
The 253 says, concerning that whole conversation about the legalism on the left, says, and now it's the left that wants to tell us how to live every single aspect of our life.
My dude Eddie, almost texted of the day here, writes, digging the vibe of the show, keep rolling. Also, Iron Horse was where it's at.
Oh, yeah, Iron Horse, baby.
A lot of love for Iron Horse on the text
Horse,
line.
Man. Aaron and Puyallup talking about the Wild Waves closure. My friend had his 12th birthday party at Wild Waves. Oh, yeah, love it.
From the 253, Sea Galley, one of several folks that were just, at one point on the text line, folks were just shouting out restaurants. It's like, Sea Galley, Sizzler.
Yes.
Round Table Pizza.
Yeah. Nick in Tacoma talks about pizza and pipes in Tacoma. It was amazing.
Tina in Sumner writes, my best friend and I would go to Enchanted Village before the water park was there. We loved the ride, the Scrambler, and went on it over and over, just riding and then getting right back in line.
Oh, the Scrambler. I love the Scrambler. That was a great one.
Yeah, good stuff.
The 253 talking about daylight savings says great thing, daylight savings times all year round, all the time. Please, 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 please.
Oh, I forgot where we left off at. Daylight savings time. You talk about daylight savings. That is the ultimate bipartisan issue right there. Back on track with the 360. I don't think people realize that if daylight saving time remains year round, the sun won't rise in Seattle until nearly 9 a.m. in the winter.
Oh, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I don't know if that's accurate, but I stand by my assertion that if that was the case, I would still trade that to not have the twice yearly adjustment of like 3 days trying to get my sleep schedule back on.
And now it is time for the letter of the day.
All right, this is from Jesse B. Friday haiku because tradition doesn't take a holiday. Memorial Day. Remembering the fallen, rest in Valhalla. There's your Friday haiku from Jesse B. Because tradition doesn't take a holiday.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesse. And thanks to all those who served in honor of our country and who paid the ultimate price so that we could have freedom and free speech. And so thank you to all those who served. And we trust that you'll have a phenomenal weekend being able to remember those and being with your friends and family. And thanks to Andrew, Nate, Mike. You guys killed it today, man.
So did you, Timmy.
Even for a Friday, man.
Even for a Friday.
Dude, whatever I'm about to I need to get a massage.
Getting super zen up.
Jeez.
Hey, don't forget that drum circle starts at Folk Life here in 10 minutes.
Will the rainbow guy be there?
Oh, you know he will.
You know the guy, you know what I'm talking about? He like throws up the claws, the rainbow claws, and
yeah, he's by the bubble guy.
Yeah. Dude, throw it over to Nate, the real-time traffic desk.
Subaru Puyallup has our update. We've still got this big collision in Maple Valley. It's northbound on State Route 169, just north of State Route 18. That northbound lane is fully blocked, and southbound just squeezing by on the shoulder. Again, you'll need to avoid this section of the Maple Valley Highway for a while if you can. Tacoma to Olympia, we're down to a solid hour. Still South 5 packed between Thorn Lane and the JBLM main gate as this backup slowly thins down. Still scattered, slowing between Lacey and Olympia. Bellevue, we cleared that crash already, south 405 at 520. Westbound 90 at Midspan, though, we've got a new crash blocking the right lane. On the water, the Mukilteo Ferry Terminal, a 2-hour wait, 1-hour wait at Edmonds. Traffic is stressful. One thing that's always stress-free, great pricing on over 300 new Subarus with easy financing at Subaru of Puyallup, your stress-free dealership. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
Some parts of the house just don't seem to work anymore. Like the closet that you open it up and you don't even bother looking in there because it's so jam-packed with stuff. Things fall out all the time. Or you can't quite put the car in a 2-car garage because one side of the garage is just full of stuff. Same thing can happen in the laundry room. There's just stuff all over the floor. There's no place to store towels or anything. You know what's happened? It's a closet design problem when you think about it. And maybe even gone as far as having to rent some sort of storage unit to put stuff. Maybe because you just need those rooms, those spaces to be better laid out. And that's where the experts at Closets by Design come to the house. And they customize, truly customize. They see the problems that you have, and they fix them for you. You don't pay the big price, though. 40% off plus an additional 15% off and 18 months, 0% financing on approved credit if paid in full. I can tell you, when they came to the barn in Cle Elum and did the great work, I am a believer in Closets by Design. 1-800-BY-DESIGN. That's 1-800-BY-DESIGN.
You could sleep through the night without thinking twice. You could take a seat in the middle of the theater. You could drive without worry of where the next restroom is. You used to say yes, and somewhere along the way, you stopped. Not because of one big moment, because of 100 small ones. A little more urgency, one more trip to the bathroom at 2 a.m., one more mental note about where the restroom is. It happened slowly enough that it just became you.
but it's not you. It's enlarged prostate, and there's a treatment called aquablation therapy, the only ultrasound-guided robotic-assisted therapy for enlarged prostate. Find an aquablation therapist near you. Call Aquablation Seattle at 206-666-2466. 206-666-2466. That's 206-666-2466. All surgical treatments carry risks, and results may vary. Side effects may include urinary symptoms, mild pain, ejaculatory dysfunction, or infection. In rare cases, complications to the urethra and rectum may occur. Aquablation therapy may not be right for everyone. Talk to your urologist to learn more. Visit aquablationseattle.com.
Eric Johnson here. I spent the past 30 years working to help make our community better informed, better protected when it comes to consumer issues, and better equipped to take on whatever life throws at us. That's why I love the free Washington Accident book series from Davis Law Group. These books keep us better informed about the law, better able to protect ourselves on and off the road, and better off when all is said and done after an accident. Chris Davis didn't have to write these books. He did it because he saw a need. People who were in accidents or other legal situations didn't know what to do, what pictures to take, documents to request. Only a tiny fraction of the people who get these 3 books will ever become clients of Davis Law Group, but that's not the point. Chris wrote them because it was the right thing to do. The free Washington Accident book series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the road might throw at them. Get yours at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
G and Ursula on KIRO News Radio.
You're not going to be able to stop what's going to happen.
I hope he's successful.
9 to noon, streaming live on your smart speaker.
For years, I've been telling you how much we care for our hens and the land here at Wilcox Farms. But don't just take my word for it. Our family's commitment is backed by trusted third-party certifications. Hartley Wilcox here. Wilcox eggs are USDA organic, meaning no synthetic pesticides or GMOs. We're certified humane, ensuring our hens live with dignity and space to roam. We're salmon safe, protecting Northwest waterways, and recognized for sustainable farming practices. These aren't just labels. They're proof that every one of our eggs comes from a farm that values animal welfare, environmental stewardship, and your family's health. So next time you're at the store, look for Wilcox Family Farms eggs. They're not only delicious, they're certifiably humane and organic, raised with care you can trust. Learn more at WilcoxFamilyFarms.com, because doing the right thing isn't just our promise, it's our principle. Wilcox Family Farms eggs, locally fresh since 1909.
John Curley here. You know a smart thing to do right now?